States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You've done that for a while.
Right.
We'll do the approval of minutes for March 24th.
Yeah, I have read those minutes, and I would move that we approve them as drafted.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. First one is Eagle Scout Owl Blocks Project.
Alrighty, so this is an Eagle Scout candidate, Akash Nandakaku. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And I'm going to hand it over to Akash to give us a rundown.
Hello, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right, so hi, I'm Akash. I'm an Eagle Scout for Troop 87 in North Andover, and I'm planning to make owl boxes for the Rolling Ridge.
Speak up.
We need some volume.
I think we're gonna.
Oh,
We're gonna
sorry.
That's okay, we're gonna get some volume.
Okay.
Good.
Try it now.
Okay. Hi, I'm Akash. I'm trying to get my Eagle Scout Troop 87 in North Andover, and I'm planning to make some owl boxes, 2 owl boxes for the Rolling Ridge in North Andover. And they need the owl boxes to help mitigate the rodent population that is eating their garden. The Giving Garden, which is a nonprofit that gives the produce that they make to local food banks.
Thank you. So I'll leave it to the commission to ask any questions. I mean, based on my measurements, I believe these boxes will be out of the buffer, but, you know, they're on the CR land, so.
Sure, under our control.
Yep.
Yep. So from a conservation perspective, my name is Joe Lynch, by the way. We don't have nameplates, and it's been a whole year since people have seen us, and they probably appreciate that. So from a conservation perspective, I don't have a particular concern, but I'm kind of curious, how did you find out about the need for this, and what is some of the thought process that you put into it to get it to the point of coming here tonight?
So I've been involved with the Giving Garden and Troop 87 for, I think, coming up on 3 to 4 years now. And so the Giving Garden was the first beneficiary that I looked towards when I came up with the Eagle Scout project idea. And owl boxes was one of the ideas that they said that they would be interested in incorporating in with the garden. And so I took that idea. And I did a lot of research on like owl boxes and how, like the specific designs. And that's how we ended up here tonight.
Excellent. And what are you building them, what material are you using to build them?
I'm using 8x4 plywood and roofing felt.
Okay, and nothing pressure treated?
Yeah, no.
Okay, very good. I'm all set, thank you. Good luck.
Yep, thank you.
I'm Lou Napoli, Chairman. I have no questions, and good luck with your project. Yeah?
This is Al Manzi. I just have one question. Is there a particular species of owl that you are attempting to house?
Yeah, I'm looking to house barn owls.
And have you made observations of barn owls in that area?
I have been told about barn owls in that area, so I'm going off those findings.
Okay, very good. Thank you, and good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, John Maben, I have no questions. I'm supportive of this project.
Want to issue the enforcement order, Jack?
Yeah, so usually the commission issues friendly enforcement orders to allow this type of work to go forward as an efficient way to manage and.
Yep, so moved.
Okay.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that's unanimous. Thank you.
Okay, Tosh, so I'll prepare the permit for you, and I'll email it to you within, maybe early next week.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay,
Have a
thanks
great
so
night.
much. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Amy, you have the next Eagle Scout project. You said the applicant might be late.
So
Is she here?
Marie Hurst, wants to do a compost outhouse at Rolling Ridge, but she has, choir, that started at 6, I think. And so she's gonna join the call when she gets home.
Okay, move that we continue that discussion until she's available.
Okay, great.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous. Next one is a request for an extension and modification on 242-1721.
Great, okay. So, the commission will recall issuing an order of conditions, back in May of 2018, and it governs, let me get, I'm sorry. I gotta get back into the groove of getting these things up on the, thing. Hold on, let me get the plan up. All right, there we go. All right, here we go. All right, so, the order governs, demolition of an existing house and construction of a new single-family dwelling with a garage under, driveway, septic, utilities, and associated site work and grading within the 100-foot buffer zone to BVW and ephemeral pool habitat. The buffer zone restoration and planting and a stone wall was also proposed at the 25. The commission will recall that the existing house was located within the 50-foot no disturb zone to the vernal pool, and the new house footprint would be moved outside of that zone, but allowed to be within the 75-foot no build. And the enhancement plantings were required within the 25 and the field stone wall. The septic system was within the 75 as well. Let's see, with some associated grading, because it was unavoidable to fit that septic within the 50. So the applicant notes that the approved plan showed no deck, walkways, steps, retaining walls, or patios, or any kind of landscaping amenities, and would like to revisit that now that the foundation is in and the shell is up. So upon consultation with the chairman, we asked the applicant to value engineer the modifications as much as possible to shrink as much out of those zones as he could. So basically, what we have here is a proposal for a 35 by 15 patio off the northeast corner of the house, 2/3 of which are in the 75-foot no-build zone. So none of the improvements that are proposed are in the 50. So some of it lands in the 75, so just so you know. 2 decks, approximately 6 by 6, are off the back are over the patio. 1 deck is in the 75 and 1 is outside. They wish to construct a front porch. Which about, I would say, 1/3 of it is in the 75-foot no-build zone. They would like to do some retaining walls. As you can see in the thick gray lines, and some associated walkways and steps. So egress out of the house, and then egress off of the patio, because there's a grading down here, so. Let's see, and then there's some, proposed gas line service that is gonna wrap around the back of the house here. So that's the proposal. They've also asked for a 1-year extension because they're pretty much in the middle of construction. And that will expire on May 24th of this year. So I do believe we have the applicant with us this evening, if you have questions or if you want to ask me questions.
Let's get some input from the commissioners first. Joe?
So I remember this as being an extremely contentious hearing
Yes.
with a butter input from more than one source. It was literally threading a needle, and all the things they're asking for today were asked by this commission at that time. I think at the time, they just didn't realize, what it is they were going to ultimately build or what they would ultimately need, but they did acknowledge that they knew that they needed to come back to us if they were proposing anything, and that's what, guess what they're doing. As far as the decks being over the patio area, I don't see something superimposed being an issue all by itself. So I guess the question becomes is, do we allow the patio as requested? Retaining walls as necessary almost becomes a barrier, so that, even though they may be a little bit beyond what they proposed initially, if they're outside the zones for the ephemeral pool or the buffer zone, or the setback, and we have a wall, that's probably not a bad thing. I'm not clear of the appropriateness of running the gas line around the perimeter only to simplify plumbing in the basement. I can't imagine why they couldn't avoid the wetland completely by simply bringing the propane line down by the driveway and in through the garage. So I guess those are the points I raised, and I'll defer to my colleagues until it comes back.
Yeah, Joe, you took the words right out of my mouth, and plus I'm confused. It's a proposed tank and gas line, is the gas line connected to the propane tank?
Yeah,
All right, I'm in agreement with Joe, I think there's no reason why that gas line can't be put in through the cellar and run along the inside of the cellar, it's a gas line, instead of going all the way around. I wouldn't be too crazy for that. The decks are over the patio, so I don't have any issue with that. That's the only thing I have. Al?
So, do we have an ephemeral pool there? Do we have a certified
Yes.
pool?
yes.
And is there a request for a waiver?
Actually, no,
And is there a alternatives analysis?
no,
I guess I'm confused then. This project clearly needs
yeah,
a waiver,
okay.
and a waiver needs to be accompanied by an alternatives analysis. Absent those documents, I don't see how I can even
Yeah.
take this any further, unless I'm missing something, which,
Yeah, let me just pull it back to the original hearing. So there was a pretty intense alternatives analysis that we required at the time of filing. However, because they did one then, and now they're proposing modifications that extend those waivers, I think they need to do just what you said. They need to apply for them again and do another alternatives analysis.
that's the way I see it. I would be happy to be stand corrected, but that's the way I see it.
I just want to make sure the applicant doesn't think that they've already done the alternatives analysis, therefore we're satisfied. No, that was the analysis for
Well,
the
did the-
other proposal.
Did the previous alternatives analysis relate to the patio?
No,
No.
So what did it relate to?
just the house.
House footprint,
Was it, yeah,
And this is a separate filing,
I think so too.
so I'm sorry.
okay. So it's a new, it's not the same applicant, it was changed hands, so
Okay.
it's a new, it's separate from the original applicant.
I mean, I only have to think back to the last couple of hearings that we've had, where we've had contentious hearings with many residents of town over proximity to vernal and ephemeral pools.
Yeah.
One particular applicant that's still on the list is confronted with trying to certify or decertify one, so I don't see how we can handle it any other way. It would be,
Okay.
in my opinion, it would be improper.
I thought the patio was already part of the original.
Not
It's
from what I
No,
recall.
I can show you the,
Oh, it says, looking,
No, you don't have to, you don't
don't have-
you can
it
show us if
says-
you want, but I don't think,
all right,
No, I remember the hearing. I
Unless Jack
remember
wants-
us all raising that question about, things that you might need, a bulkhead,
Right.
stairways,
Right. but it's a
areas.
different, Amy just made it real clear too, it's a different owner.
Yeah, so,
So the previous owner applied for, received, sold. New owner wants to do different things, applied for, and didn't get the advice. And
Okay.
I feel badly, I think that they need to get a good wetland scientist to give them an alternatives analysis on what it is they want to do.
Okay. Jack?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you guys said. I mean, all of it, actually, especially the gas line. The patio and deck above the patio, you know, most of it being in the 75-foot no-build zone, that gives, that's got to be justified. The retaining walls out front, and especially looking at that picture, I don't see how they can get around those.
Those are out, though, out of the 75. The retaining walls and walkways are out of the 75.
Oh, it looked like, okay, maybe I misunderstood the plan, that they were shaded in gray, and,
Can you go to the rear,
Yeah,
the shot of the rear elevation,
this one.
if you don't mind?
that's the front.
There we go.
That one's the best shot, yeah. So they kind of got themselves in a pickle with the floor plan they picked and gotten to the extent of building, it's not just a foundation, gotten to the extent of where they're at. So they've kind of hung their hat out there on, they're gonna get a deck and a patio. So at the absolute best they're gonna get, I'm not sure they're going to, but the absolute best is gonna be a deck and a rear stairway off the door. They may not get a patio. But I think, and we may say, if they're that close and not outside the 75 with no other alternative, we may not even allow the deck. So I think they've got themselves far, far, far down the road before raising the question.
I think where the slider is, I think it's all right. It's this door that's the
The
issue.
wetland's to your left, isn't it,
The
Amy?
wetland is to the left.
Wetland's to the left, that's the one that's close.
That's-
The rear door may be 75 away.
Okay.
Yeah.
The slider, I think, is in the
If you go back to
75.
the previous drawing that showed the distances, called out the distances, and look at the configuration of the house now that we've seen this. So the proposed deck is off those sliders.
52-ish feet.
That's within the 75.
I think they got themselves in a bit of a pickle.
Based on what I'm seeing.
Okay.
You see it now, Joe? I mean, Lou,
Yeah, I do.
proposed deck sliders. That's the closest call out right there.
All right.
Now, would you argue that we gave a waiver for the 52 for the house? I'm not gonna give them an alternatives analysis, but they really need to do a good job coming up with an alternatives analysis that can justify why they think that's an appropriate request. But right now, we don't have that.
So I think you're right, but I think we let
Let them do their work.
them do the work, yeah, because we can't, that would be also a slippery slope for us to start designing.
Yep. I think they've, I saw the name of the engineering on the plan. I
Moore,
think that's not who's doing this?
John Moore. John Moore prepared this plan.
So
The
Joe,
old plan, is he still their representative?
Yeah,
Okay, so yeah, so they, you know, he knows what he needs to do.
So, yeah, I agree. He's an experienced engineer, he knows.
no.
All right, so why don't we,
I think Christensen and Sergi did
what's the original?
the first plan,
Mm-hmm.
and now Warren is on
All
this
right, well,
plan.
now we have a second question.
Yeah.
Is this still considered a modification or new filing?
So if that's the case, let's just simply, it's not a modification, let's deny the modification request.
It's really not a modification.
Okay, so do we want,
That's a motion.
hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Uh,
We just want,
I will second your motion for purpose of discussion.
do we want, is Jim Hyder or John Warren on the call with us?
If anybody wants to get on the call with us now, that's fine. This is their hearing.
Yes, this is Jim Hyder. I'm here.
Okay,
Hi, Jim.
Jim, junior or senior?
Hi there. Actually, this is Jim Senior, and my son Jim Jr. is here as well.
Okay. Is John Warren on the call?
I don't believe he is. I'm not sure.
That's okay.
I,
Okay.
Jim, did you hear were you able to hear the discussion that we just had?
yes, I did.
So,
First, thank you for taking the discussion to us tonight. And I honestly, I wasn't aware of the original meetings and whatnot. My son purchased the house in hopes to put the new septic system in. Then we found out the house had to come down after we purchased it. And so we took the house down and put the new home in the approved area. The septic system and the house itself, I'm sorry, the septic system and the order, the sill elevations were very different, which the order had the sill much higher. That created some grading issues, and thankfully John Moran was a very big help getting us through that, which he's been all along. I thought we had a plan that was approved that we could put the house in according to the plan, and we moved in that direction. Eventually found out that the patio and the walls and what we'd like to do we couldn't do, so we've been working closely with John to move a lot of things out of the areas that we originally wanted to put them. Again, I don't know what to say. I apologize. I did not know that this lot was such an issue in the beginning. And unfortunately, we've got my son has a construction loan, and we're trying to just kind of finish it up. And I'm concerned with what I hear only because I don't understand 100% of it. But if there's something else we can do to move the gas line, we can take that out and put that in bring that inside the garage so that we're not in the 100-foot buffer zone. We'll be happy to do that. If we have to take any more walls out, we can definitely do that, and maybe put some riprap stone down for grading. But I had no idea that there was going to be that big of an issue. I didn't think it was that big of an issue.
So can I just jump in here?
Good, Amy, go ahead.
So, the walls and the walkway are not the problem at all.
Yeah, you're right.
They're out
Read
of the
that.
75,
Okay.
so that's fine. I think based on the front elevation of the house, the front porch can get shifted because the door is in the middle of the house. And so I think that porch can get out of the 75, so that could be eliminated. We have a slider at that end of the house, that poses a problem. But I think the patio itself could move towards the west. And perhaps maybe just stairs off the slider, I don't know, but
Yeah, so.
I think there's
just-
room to move stuff.
I just want to give the guidance that, Al has started making, and I kind of jumped right on board with, is that it may be permissible, it may be something that we would ultimately approve, but it's not in the realm of a modification request. I think we certainly not until an alternatives analysis is at least presented. All those things that they can possibly do, I think they've got a competent engineer who's able to do that, and they know what it is that we need to see. So I don't think, based on what we have, we can presume that this is something that we can do through a simple modification.
No, I think John Moore is more than capable to do what has to be done. And it, like the commissioner stated, that an NOI will probably be required with the waiver.
Or an amendment, yeah.
Oh, amendment.
We should, do we want to give them some direction on the patio versus patio and deck, or deck only?
Well, the first direction that I would offer is
Get it out of it.
there is no waiver from the 75. So the first and best advice I can give is however you do it, you've got to get out of that 75-foot zone. Whether it's an amendment or a modification or a new filing, we could administratively probably work with whatever the commission thinks it should be. But I personally think you have to get out of that 75-foot zone where the construction of the on the northeast corner there, where the construction of the decks are proposed, and patio. That's the way I see it.
I'm not usually inclined to be so liberal, but I recognize that to a really robust alternatives analysis of the original application, we were convinced that the 52-foot setback was something that made some sense in that one corner. We gave a permit, it must have made some sense. So I would say if we're looking at a patio or a deck, it can be no closer, absolutely no closer than 52. Al's saying no closer than 75, but I'm saying absolutely no closer than 52. And if there's a way through their alternatives analysis, they can justify that the deck is needed and it's elevated and therefore it's not very intrusive, that might be a valid argument, but the patio is gigantic. So I don't think there is an argument, other than I just want to have a really big patio. So I think you, in that instance, you're probably.
And the patio is 50 feet setback.
Yeah. So I think we're looking at, if you can get 75, for me, if I get 75 for the patio and the deck no closer than 52, I think that's middle ground that I think John should explore, from my perspective.
And I promise to keep an open mind. I do. I will keep an
All
open
right,
mind.
so, no, so what are we asking them to do? An amendment, a new
Well-
filing, or,
An amendment, maybe. A modification, no.
okay,
Possibly an amendment. I could live with an amendment.
Jack?
The alternatives analysis.
Well, that would come with it, yeah. First, we
And
gotta
the-
give them the
and the
vehicle.
waiver
How
We
do-
gotta see
request.
How do
what
they
they filed
get,
for.
how do they get that alternatives analysis to us? Through an amendment or through an NOI?
Oh, yeah.
So
It has to have a way to get here.
So.
It's a
just- I want-
procedural question.
Just I want to make sure, when you say amendment, it means a butter notification of public hearing.
Reopen,
Yeah, we do.
All right,
Good. This is, honestly, I'm sorry to do this, but
No,
it's
it's fine.
clearly not a modification.
all right.
No.
But if they can get things as tight as possible, shrink that patio, get the porch out.
Well, we're saying there's a way to make it permittable. We're not saying
Yeah.
it's permittable yet. We're all offering our opinions and telling,
Okay.
I said I'll keep an
That's
open mind,
John
but,
Moran's job.
you know, but
Okay.
the alternatives analysis has to be a good one.
Okay.
But-
Silent in this discussion is the bulkhead, so I think that the bulkhead needs to be included in the discussion, because it is a extension of the structure. And I don't, there's no witness line of how far that is, but if it's 52 to the corner of the house, that bulkhead may not be 75 feet out, so that needs to be included.
That may be tough to move if the foundation's poured.
I'm saying
Yeah.
it's all part of the same request.
And was it part of
It's
the
in-
original filing?
Good
No,
point.
it was not.
It was not, okay.
So,
The house.
so Amy, I think you can see all the issues that make it
Okay,
an amendment, not,
Okay.
yeah,
I just want to make sure.
It's a multi-level waiver request.
it is.
Right, gotcha.
It is indeed. It is indeed.
But on the question of amendment versus new filing, I don't know, I'll just throw this out. It seems like the house, the main part of the house and the septic system, were part of an original filing, and that represents most of the project, it seems to me. So amendment might be more appropriate.
That's what I'm leaning towards.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
Okay,
not a modification, then. We all agree on that.
all right, so we gotta vote on this one, deny, and then they gotta refile for an amendment.
all right. So Jim, did you hear that? I don't know if John Moran's on yet.
It was, unfortunately, I kind of lost a lot of the audio, but I think I understand what you're saying is, and, you know, maybe we could look at, rather than have decks, we could put in some, you know, just stairs and reduce the size of the patio And you know, like you said, John's more than capable of putting us in the right direction, and we really appreciate you having an open mind. We did get down the road pretty far, I guess, that we didn't realize. As I looked at the plan, I said, well, without knowing the history of the lot, I said, well, we can go to the 52-foot area where the house was, and I never thought for a minute that we wouldn't be able to put a set of stairs there, so
Jim,
I
can
apologize for that.
Can I offer a suggestion, so that we don't spend the rest of, I don't want to spend the rest of the night on this. I think that it appears that the commission's consensus is to have this come into us as an amendment, not a modification. I think if you just convey to John Moore and ask him to get in touch with Amy tomorrow, she'll explain everything to him that he needs to do. He'll know exactly what to do.
Okay, very good. I appreciate that.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, we need a motion.
Move that we deny the modification request.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Okay.
Amy, you know what to do.
Yep,
Okay, thank you.
all right.
Thank you.
So there is a report on the Google Meet that there's a lot of static. I'm not sure. So I guess I'm just gonna remind everybody on the call to please mute themselves, if that's okay. Even if you're on a phone, mute yourself. That might
So
help.
Amy, I'm hearing motor noise. I'm not sure if it's your microphone picked up your laptop or if it's coming from somewhere else. I'm hearing motor noise and I'm not sure from where.
Is it over there? All the machinery over there?
Is the air conditioning running?
No.
No?
I hope not.
I don't,
All right. Next one
Okay.
is 242-1776, 805 4th Street.
Alrighty. So the commission will recall this was a request for a certificate of compliance. This project involved installation of an in-ground pool and a patio, and fencing. And at the time of application, it was suspected that there was a vernal pool in the wetland. So the project engineer, I'll pull up the approved plan. The project engineer designed the project to meet all of the setbacks for the vernal pool. So we had the patio and the pool and the surrounding, actually, can we just back up for a second?
You never
I'm
wrote it on
sorry.
the extension.
Yeah.
What's that now?
good job, Jamie.
Thank you, Jamie.
What did we not vote on?
So,
extension.
the extension for 562 Boxford.
So in light of the fact that the existing order is going to expire prior to them probably filing the amendment, I move that we grant the one-year extension.
Second.
All those in favor say
All
aye.
right,
Aye.
thank
Opposed?
you.
That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good catch, Jamie. Okay, so they designed the project to meet the setbacks for vernal pool. When we came to the as-built,
I'm sorry, can you refresh my memory? Which project is this?
this is at 805 Forest, so this was an in-ground pool, patio, and fencing
Okay,
next to a potential vernal pool,
off property.
off property.
Okay, all right, thank
Yes,
you. I got it now.
Thank you, yeah.
I got it.
Yes. Okay, so, come as-built time, we found that, the patio was expanded a little bit, up under the house. And the fence, the chain link fence, was actually placed at the perimeter of the yard, so you can see that. At the last meeting, the commission requested the applicant to go figure out whether this was a vernal pool or not. They hired Norse Environmental to do an investigation. They found 5 spring peeper egg masses. They heard spring peeper and wood frog coursing. So we have a vernal pool out there.
Okay.
And I'll pull up her report.
What's that?
So we're at the point where we have a vernal pool with a chain link fence at the 25. which is in the 50-foot no disturb zone. Although part of the 50-foot no disturb zone is lawn, but, so,
You said the fence-
You're
the
telling
fence
me that there's a chain link fence installed now in the 25?
at the 25,
At the 25?
not in it, but at it.
Inside the 50-foot
But in, right,
I got you, I got you.
which is at the edge of lawn, basically. So here's
That's
the
it.
pool.
I see the pool, yeah.
It's already installed?
Yeah,
They want a certificate of compliance?
yes.
Yeah,
So here's our spring keeper egg masses.
that's pretty
So-
graphic right there.
Yeah,
That's a great picture, actually.
Yeah.
It's a great picture. Look at that.
Joe?
Refresh my memory, because I want to make sure I get the sequence right before I focus my attention in a particular direction. The original application was to build something, which included the pool and the fence,
yes,
and it was permitted
yes,
with dimensions.
right.
And this is, according to that plan, or it is not?
It's different. The patio's a bit bigger, although most of it's out of the buffer, but it's a bit bigger, and some of it was in the buffer, expanded. And the fence was immediately around the patio.
Okay,
So it was out of the 50, out of the 75.
right. So is the pool in itself in the correct location?
Yes,
The patio's a little bit bigger?
yes,
All right, so from where understanding that, and that's where I thought we were. So understanding that, there was an originally permitted project that allowed it, the ephemeral pool was not as much of an issue back then.
right. Because
It's not in compliance, they gotta build it in compliance with the order. The patio cut back and the fence goes around the patio and everything else is in jurisdiction, and the ephemeral pool is sort of just another justification of why that's all appropriate. But the reality is, it's a certificate of compliance that they're asking for, and they're not in compliance, and they can't get a modification.
The patio extension is out of the buffer.
Well, no.
No, it's
some-
not out of the ephemeral pool buffer, is it? Patio extension is not, I thought.
Patio extension is not in the 75. It's just further to the house. It's in the buffer zone between 75 and 100.
Okay, so we would have allowed it,
Probably,
okay, so that's fair game, but the fence is not.
but the fence is at the 25,
Right.
where
All right, so
the
it's,
original plan was
it's the
really
fence.
designed to stay out of.
so I guess the question becomes, is the delta, the difference between what was approved for the patio and what's actually out there, whether it's in compliance or not, we need to determine, we're gonna need to determine what we really want and give them the guidance. If it is outside of the 75, but within the 100, and came before us as part of the original permit, I think it's fair game for discussion that that is a fair modification. The fence is off the table. The fence absolutely positively could be no further than the limit of that patio, from where I sit. And the fact that we've got this documentation out 100% justifies that.
I agree, and the other part was the gate.
Yeah, it
Open
does
the
have a
gate to
gate
go
on
in,
the
to
wetland
go
side.
into the wetlands. That's a no-no. We never allow rear gates, I don't think.
It's an avenue for dumping.
Huh?
No, you just can't. The whole idea, Jack's right, though, the whole idea behind the lack of access is to
Right.
prevent.
Physical barrier.
Right.
Not a focused barrier.
People do things that they don't have any malice in their heart, but they do things, and we just we have to protect the area.
And it's not the applicant, it could be the next person that buys the house.
Well, we always consider the next person.
Right.
So, yeah, I agree with Joe. I want a great job by Maureen of identifying and documenting. And, but I agree with Joe, the fence is off the table.
All right, so what would, Jack, any
Yeah, I just think the project is not in compliance. The main issue is the fence. It was built grossly different than what was approved. Needs to be corrected before we can issue a COC.
okay.
Now, someone used the phrase, based on this letter, that we have a certified vernal pool, but we don't. The applicant can't certify a vernal pool on an abutter's property,
No, but we can.
not on an abutter's property, I don't believe.
We could, my understanding, if you recall, think back a little bit, when we had Mike Howard working for us, You remember we went out, we had groups of people that went out in the middle of the night
Sure.
certifying vernal pools all over town. And we went on everybody's property when we certified the vernal pools. We certified them on town property, private property, you name it.
There's Maureen.
So anyway, I think that we can, but that's a separate, that's not the immediacy here.
Right, I think what we have is the evidence that supports the 75 being needed. The
Yeah,
original
so
application
we just-
was accurate.
Yeah, to keep, let's keep this simple. We need to protect 75, and we know the fences.
Yeah, I think the discussion's still ongoing about certifying on an abutter's property. I think we need to talk about it separately, but
So we can, yeah.
not part of this filing.
I agree, 100% agree.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask the people on the Google call to please mute themselves, because I think we're having some feedback. If you're on a phone, mute yourself, please, because I see some people.
You're getting background noise.
Yeah, we're getting background noise, so if you're on a phone, please mute yourself.
Or put the kids in the other room.
And we have Maureen Harold with us. I think she'd like to speak on behalf of the applicant.
Hi, Maureen.
Hi. Hi, good evening. So as you can see from my report, the wetland itself is certifiable. And I also attached aerial photographs of the property. I want the commission to be aware of that this backyard lawn area has been established since 2001. So this lawn area has been established for over 20 years. And the fact that these types of amphibians, frogs, the spring peepers and the wood frogs, they're unlikely to travel through that backyard lawn area. And I don't think that a fence will substantially impact the vernal pool area. The wood frogs are more prone to travel through a forested area as opposed to a lawn area. There's no type of protection from the sun. There's no type of protection from any type of bird species or anything that can eat these types of amphibians. So I'm requesting the commission to possibly reconsider the fence location.
Do you know, if you know, when was the fence installed?
I don't know.
It's definitely after the fact.
I'm just curious, that's all. It sometimes helps me decide.
Well, it's probably sometime very early spring.
Of this year, you mean?
Yeah.
Does that sound right, the fences in this past year?
Or it could have been last fall.
Or last fall. I mean, they started work.
Yeah, so,
Okay, thank you.
So I don't remember the details of that specific hearing. If the yard was established as planted lawn as early as 2001 or thereabouts, and we had a hearing in the past few years that resulted in the construction of this pool and patio and fence, and as part of that permit, the fence was prescribed to be in a particular location, I can't imagine that was made out of whole cloth. I had a feeling that was based on some logical testimony of why it is appropriate to put the fence where it was proposed. The fence isn't where it was proposed, regardless of where the lawn was. I think if the argument was to have been made, it would have been made back at that hearing when the project was proposed, and I just don't I don't remember it.
No. The proposed plan had this fence right around the patio.
We
I mean,
wouldn't have.
So it wasn't an issue.
Right,
It didn't
so,
even come up.
So what you're saying is the fence is not where it was proposed?
no,
Right.
Okay, that's the kind of stuff I was interested in learning. Okay, thank you.
And so we issued,
I'm all set.
we issued the order in January of 2020, and we had a pre-construction on March 16th of 20.
so you got a pre-construction meeting and you showed them where the fence was supposed to go.
I walked through the conditions of the order, one of which says if you make any changes to the plan, come before us.
What is
before
That we normally do.
we do that.
so the application history, was the fence simply proposed around the patio because that was the convenient place to show it? It was never contested? It was just where they proposed it?
My Jack Sullivan, the engineer, designed the project to meet potential vernal pool setbacks, so he kept everything out of that 75.
And that's where the limit of the patio was in the fence.
And there was no request for a waiver at
So
that time?
No, we didn't
Okay.
need to issue a waiver
Right.
for this.
I think we got it all right in the right,
Yeah, yeah.
that the original application was appropriate.
Yeah.
The fence needed to be where it was regardless of the yard.
Had it been built as proposed, it would be approved.
Yeah,
We'd be done, we'd be done, we'd see, and be all done.
Hold on, okay.
yeah, I mean,
May I ask a question?
that's it. I think we
Yeah,
did what we did for the right reasons at the original hearing.
yeah. I think Maureen had a question.
Just one last question. Obviously, I don't want to waste your time or the homeowner's time. Would the commission consider allowing the fence in this location if we came back with an amendment?
So let me ask my brother commissioners here. If there was no pool, they would be entitled to mow that lawn right up to where they've always mowed it since 2001. The pool comes along, there was a discussion about a fence, so I think the active recreation component of the pool and the patio area, I think, is appropriately bounded by a fence. Are we not saying they can't mow behind there because you always have? I'm not so sure we're saying that. But you certainly can't have active recreation beyond your patio area and your fence line, and by getting up to 25 feet, you're only inviting that. So I think if the fence were to be put where it was originally proposed or down close to it, I'm not so much saying that we're preventing them from mowing their backyard area, the grass area. Are we? It was in compliance in 2001. It didn't continue to mow it.
Well, I mean,
Hold
we'd have
on,
to look
if
at the
the
order.
backyard area is in the 75, what's the law on it? No activity, right?
It is now because of the new application. 2001, it wasn't an issue.
I mean, I think I think we'd be making a mistake.
Okay. No, that's
Yeah,
what,
I don't like to be the guy that always says it, but I think we'd be making a mistake.
No,
well, I can see, that's why I asked the
We're
question.
gonna have a dozen more vernal pools before us in no time.
I think the fence should stay where it is, go back to the original plan.
It should be put where proposed.
Yes,
And let
I
the
agree.
backyard revert to what it does.
Whatever. That has nothing to do with the filing of the pool and the fence. If it's done according to plan. Now, if they extend it, now it's a whole new ballgame. Now we can restrict the use of the land behind them. If we just accept the application as drafted, we're not gonna send Taylor out there once a
So,
week to make
in
sure
that,
they don't cut it.
in the 2020 hearing,
Yeah.
where the fence was proposed closer to the patio, what did we say about future mowing activity of the grass area? It was completely silent.
It's the order. We'd have to see if we put a condition in that there's restricted use of that area or anything like that.
We did.
Okay, so then she's reviewed it. So
why
it's
don't-
just the fence.
So why don't we allow
Right.
Maureen to come back to us with a proposal, and we can rule on it once and for all?
Okay, fair enough.
What do you think about that, Maureen?
I think that's fair if the commission will consider the fence in the location that it's at.
Well, why don't you come to us with a alternatives analysis, proposal, amendment, whatever you wanna call it. We'll give it a fair hearing, and we'll make a final ruling if you're willing to do that.
Maureen, you do what you want, but I think you're gonna open a can of worms by trying to, because people are they're gonna question the rest of the land to the vernal pool as a do not disturb. So you're not gonna gain anything. Matter of fact, you're probably gonna lose some of the yard. If you accept the project the way it was designed, if we accept the project as designed, by moving the fence to the patio, what goes on minus an enforcement or somebody drops a dime on you? I mean, we're not gonna go out there and enforce vernal pool, it's our property. I don't think
So
we are.
are you guys saying, Lou, are you saying that if they put the fence where it was supposed to be, so that it's in compliance, certificate of compliance, and we don't worry about historic mowing that's gonna continue.
Well, if we did that, we'd have to go through everything in town and
Right.
issue enforcement orders on everybody that's not compliant.
No, that's not true. That's not true. What we have in front of us is a request for a COC on a parcel of land that had an order of conditions and a record drawing that doesn't match. It's really, what we have is really quite black and white.
Well, what they want to do is she can revert back to the original application.
She's not
that was
saying
approved.
it. She's not saying it.
Well, that's what I'm telling her, that it would be a good idea to do that,
But that's not,
okay?
okay.
I'm trying to,
We're just-
I'm trying to stay off the slippery slope, but also trying
I
to use
know.
logic and be fair. If we were so inclined to believe that that existing lawn area outside the proposed fence line was sacred, that order that we issued in 2020 would have said as much. Stop mowing the lawn. We would have said that. We didn't.
Right.
So as a matter of fairness, I don't think it's appropriate to ask for it now, if in fact they put the fence where it was originally proposed.
So,
If they build it in compliance with the project, they're in compliance with the order of conditions.
so that, understood. So that's the option that the applicant has. Go with what you have, or come in and make a request for something different.
I think
So
that's
that'll be
more than
your-
fair.
Your direction to the applicant, you and the applicant make that decision to keep the fence where it is and
Roll your dice.
roll the dice, or go back to where it was designed and approved and get your COC.
And let's move.
Okay, thank you for your input.
Thanks, Maureen.
All right,
Do you want a continuance, Maureen?
Yes, please.
Okay, so moved.
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.
And that's to the 28th,
Thank you. Yeah, 28th, right?
okay.
Next one is 242-1774, 633 Turnpike Street.
Alrighty, so this order was issued in June of 2020, and it governed the construction of a paved wraparound access driveway and associated four-space parking stalls, installation of stormwater management system consisting of a grass treatment swale and rain garden, privacy and split rail fencing, shed, relocation of mitigation tree plantings, and removal of paver patio and raised garden bed, all around an existing house that was converted to a business for a pest control company. Okay, so the project respected the 25. Let's see, let me pull it up. Let me do this again. I'll pull up the as-built. All right. So here's the as-built. So things are pretty much stable. I had asked that the erosion control mulch shock be removed from the base of the slope behind the rain garden. They did that, and so they didn't leave the mulch, they took it all away. So there's a little strip of exposed soil, but they've seeded, and they have, they put down pellets that are gonna turn into a mulch, basically, which it doesn't have any fertilizer in it. It'll just expand. They have their wetland markers up on the split rail fence. You know, honestly, it's in compliance. I feel comfortable. There is a little strip of grass is struggling a little bit on the shoulder of the paved drive on the curved part when you enter. But
I don't know how to drive.
that's it. So, you know, I don't have a lot of issues with this one.
Joe?
No questions.
I have no questions. Al?
No questions.
Jack? Motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. All set. Quickie, I like that. Next one is 242 or 628 partial COC request for 40 Meadowwood.
Alrighty. So, this order was issued in November of 1992, and it governed construction of 18-lot subdivision and associated house lots. Commission will recall issuing a partial certificate of compliance for 66 Meadowwood Road, and at that time, we established the fact that the roadway was accepted by the town, and the drainage features were the town's responsibility. This particular property has changed hands 5 times since 1993. And now, this outstanding order is just now bubbling up, which happens. Certifying engineer notes that the rear retaining wall is located slightly into the 25 in a couple of sections, but that overall it maintains the 25. I conducted a site inspection, and the site is totally stable. Retaining wall is stable, and I'm happy to report that I didn't see any wetland violations back there, which I'm kind of surprised, but things looked good. So, other than, a retaining wall that's been there since 1993, that's crept into the 25 a little bit. I don't know what you're gonna do about that now with the foundations and everything in. I don't have any issues with recommending issuing a certificate of compliance, a partial certificate of compliance.
Joe?
The barrier wall, is that made out of real rocks, or is it made out of pebbles?
It's rocks.
All right,
No, it's boulders.
I'm all set then.
I'm all set. Like I said, I saw all the plans here anyways.
Well, I can give you some pictures.
It's not that invasive to worry about it. It's that little bit of a corner.
This was a subdivision where we had to define a wall.
Yeah, I know.
This was one of those projects that we paid our dues on.
This is the first cluster, wasn't it, you
Well,
guys?
I don't know where it fell. It was the first time anybody had constructed a wall out of 1-inch pea stone.
Right, but I
We
mean,
called it a wall.
We called it a wall.
but it was the first cluster zoned.
First cluster in town.
Oh,
In
yeah,
town.
I see what you're saying. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it was.
No, I know it was a cluster.
In many ways.
I have no questions.
All right, Jack?
I'm good.
Motion?
We grant a partial certificate of compliance for 40 Meadowwood.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, and that's unanimous.
Great. Okay.
Next one.
RDAs.
NACC renewal for Rolling Ridge.
Did we do 1774?
Yeah, that was Riley.
Yeah, that was
114.
Okay, sorry. I'm lagging behind here, sorry.
That's okay.
Alrighty.
We're rusty. We haven't done this before.
So this is a renewal of the small project permit, NACC number 93 for the Giving Garden operation at Rolling Ridge. Our field inspector performed a site inspection with Fran Fink of the South Church Giving Garden and reports the following. A produce washing station that was previously approved by the Conservation Commission was installed in the garden by an Eagle Scout in the location that it was supposed to have been. Giving Garden continues to use no-till gardening to maintain a soil microbial community and prevent erosion. Organic blood meal and compost from on-site bins were used as alternatives to synthetic fertilizers. Straw and composted leaf litter is used as mulch. Weeds are controlled by mowing, hand pulling, mulching with straw, leaf litter, and wood chips. Colorado potato beetles are controlled by hand removal and applications of neem oil. The field inspector visited the site and March 30th confirmed that the soils on site are stable and mulched. The wetland buffer is being respected with no evidence of any erosion or runoff from the garden. He discussed with Fran the use of crown vetch, being used as a site cover crop because it's nitrogen fixing. However, it can be a little bit aggressive, so he recommends that the seed heads, here
collecting the flowers before it goes to seed.
before it goes to seed.
Or seed heads, just
Or
so it
seed.
doesn't spread
Yeah,
to the nearby wetland.
yeah. So let's see. So the commission recall that the conditions of the permit requires yearly farming activities to be reported, the water commission and holders of the CR to be notified of the renewal of this permit, and only organic weed and pest control will be used on site. But I think we have, a favorable report, and I would recommend renewing the small project permit.
Thank you. Before I say anything, you guys haven't met Taylor, right?
Sure we have.
Oh, yeah,
Some of us have on a sidewalk.
on the site.
Very
Well,
cold sidewalk.
And Jack, you met Taylor, right?
Yeah, out at North Ridge.
Yeah, that's terrible of me.
Okay, well, I can't remember with
I
this
didn't-
silly TV thing.
Taylor was actually at the gathering.
That's right.
Sean's. At Deb's retirement party.
Yeah, that's right.
No,
The only
That was
thing-
No, that was
Ben.
That was Ben. Yeah, I don't remember
The other
Taylor being there.
Okay, the other
Taylor hadn't been hired yet.
So, see, I was close.
Taylor, I have a question, that the Colorado potato beetles,
Yeah.
did you check their IDs? Are they all from Colorado?
I can't confirm that.
All right, I'm just
I
checking.
did not.
I never, and I don't know if it could be from some other state.
So-
I have,
This has been a very successful volunteer farming operation that I think should be an example of good ways to do things. Good catch on the crown vetch. It's extremely aggressive, if not invasive. And, if you don't harvest flowers right and grab seed pods or good tillage, you're maybe creating a nightmare, but that's a good catch. But it's a great operation, and I think they're looking for a 1-year extension, or is this just to accept their report?
No, I think we renew it every year.
Every year, all right, so
Yep.
I'm fine with that. All set.
okay, I'm all set. It's all, everything stayed the same, there was no changes, right?
Yeah,
Cool,
they're doing a great job out there.
thank you. Al, I can see, just look at the picture. Al,
No questions, I'm in favor of renewal.
Jack,
Yeah, I am too.
okay?
It's unusual. Is this the only small project we've ever extended or renewed with the same
It's
number?
because we hold the CR. Because it's under a CR, we actually, am I correct with that?
Yeah,
Yeah, that we have to enact on it every year,
Yeah, oh, yeah, I remember that, but.
because it's a small
But
project.
small projects typically are, you do it and you're done, but
It's perpetual
I guess this
activity.
is, we're adapting it to this particular condition.
All right.
Okay.
All right, so we need a motion.
Move to grant the 1-year extension.
Second,
All those in favor say aye.
aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one. RDA, 267 Osgood Street.
okay, let me pull it. I'm trying to keep up with 100 million things here. It's funny.
You're doing a good job.
Letting people in, popping over screens. Hold on one second, okay? All right, hold on. All righty, okay. So this is a request for determination to install a backyard vinyl fence along the 25-foot no disturb zone to bank of an intermittent stream. So it's simply a channel in the ground, no BBW, so it's simply bank. In total, approximately 200 feet of the fence is proposed, most of which is within the 100-foot buffer zone and the 50-foot no-build. Owners are aware of and will respect the 4-inch gap requirement at the bottom of the fence. The homeowner will be installing straw wattles between the area of the fence disturbance installation and the 25. The homeowner is offering to plant native woody vegetation or and/or a combination of native seed grass within the 25, because currently it's really kind of, not a lot's growing. There's no shrub layer, it's just trees and bare soil, so, let's see, so the staff, we reviewed the proposal with the chairman, and he recommended that perhaps the fence could be just a little bit off the edge of the 25, maybe 3 feet, so we're, give it just a little breathing room there. And then perhaps that seating would be a very straightforward way to enhance the area. So I would recommend issuing a negative number 3 determination with a pre-construction inspection to inspect erosion controls, and perhaps recommend appropriate native seed mix if that's what you guys decide. All excavated soils from post holes be taken off site or out of the buffer zone, and post-construction inspection to verify compliance, and approve erosion control removal.
Thank you, Amy. Joe?
Just a couple of things. The fence is chain link, you said?
Vinyl.
Vinyl, but raised up off
Raised up.
to allow the credits to move through,
Yep.
okay? No gates?
It didn't say, I don't think.
Let me say
so.
it not in the form of a question. There will be no gates.
Okay, there will be no gates. Never
And,
mind.
And as far as removal of soil from the site, I think that broadcasting the soil, upgrading of the fence line is an appropriate way of just, distributing it.
Okay,
And if they don't want to do that, they can remove it from site.
okay.
Yeah. That's it?
The only thing I have to say, this project, the guy's very cooperative, the applicant, I should say. And so I have no problem with the project. The only thing we should think about is maybe having put some placards on the fence. Al,
I have no questions, actually.
Jack?
Upon the plantings, it's a vinyl fence. If we recommend a seed mix, it's gonna be,
It's gotta be, it would have to be a shady seed mix,
yeah,
shade tolerant for sure.
if they're fine, yeah, I mean, I guess that would work.
What, you're trying to establish herbaceous layer as well as a shrub layer? What's out there now, just a tree, right? And pretty,
They've offered to do either just native seed or a combination of native seeding and, shrub layer, native, all native, because the area is bare. So it's, filtered sunlight. It's mostly just, Norway maples back there right
so
now.
it's the condition that we're asking that the proposed revegetation mix should be submitted and approved to the conservation.
Yeah, why don't we do that? Yeah, that's the
Because you guys know
best.
what you're looking for.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'd
that's the
have,
Yeah.
Yeah, Taylor put right on it.
Taylor would know.
And are we
Or
gonna
recommend
allow,
it. He could just recommend it.
are we gonna allow the 25, or are we gonna make it 28,
28.
28 feet?
Yeah,
I-
applicant's okay with that.
That's one of the conditions.
That was my suggestion, because.
Yeah, no, I think it's a
really-
good one.
I don't like things right on the money, because if somebody messes up,
Yeah.
we have the wiggle room. So that's why I asked Taylor to ask the applicant
It's a good
to pick it up a
compromise.
couple feet.
They're fine with that.
So the conditions are plantings, 28 feet setback, pre and post,
No
That's it?
gates.
no gates,
No gates.
no gates. yeah.
Okay.
Is that a combination of woody and native seed? Or
Use your
just-
discretion.
Yeah,
Okay.
whatever they
You know
want.
What
more
you think's
about-
gonna be successful?
You
Yeah.
know about,
Okay.
Yeah.
more about plantings than I
You
do.
pick it,
Okay,
Okay.
or,
All right.
you approve it.
A
okay.
motion?
So we have, this is in our day, correct?
Yeah, so -3.
Thank you, so moved.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, and that's unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, we need Mr. McDonough to call in, so why don't we, can you go by, do the others, and wait for him to
Yeah,
call
we're
in?
waiting for him to call. He's gonna call you, Amy, or?
He's gonna call in here,
Okay.
and then we'll have a quorum to hear Wildcat Road, so I can try to get, why don't we,
I
if you
move that we
want,
table that matter until we have a quorum to hear it.
Thank you.
A second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one is 428 Winter Street.
Alrighty.
Excuse me, 874 Salem Street.
Ah, jeez, sorry. All right. 874. All right. All right, there we go. Okay, so this project is for the removal of an existing 10 by 25 deck in need of repair and replacement, and replace it with a larger deck that will connect the house to the existing above-ground pool. It will wrap around approximately 1/4 of the pool diameter. The new deck will be approximately 1,200 square feet and will require 18 4-foot deep, 12-inch wide footing holes to be dug and filled with concrete. The plan also outlines the access route to the work area and material drop-off, which I can pull up in a minute. Our field inspector visited the site and reported the following. The existing pool is located approximately 60 feet from the edge of the wetland. Existing deck will be approximately 93 feet from the edge of the wetland, and the new deck will be approximately 64. While on site, field inspector noticed a very old shed within the 25-foot no disturb zone. It's like growing vines inside and out. It's just, it's very old, not used. It's turning into, part of, yeah, we'll get it. Compost, right? Let's see, so the commission may want that removed.
Where, is it in the wetland?
It's in the
25?
25,
It's in the 25.
yeah. There it
Take
is.
it down.
Oh, yeah. Removed by hand.
Yeah, okay.
It's like if you sneeze, it fall down.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
It's being eaten, that's really kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's a mouse house.
So the commission reviewed the above-ground pool under an RDA in 2016. And I think at the time, it was not visible because of probably grown-up vegetation, or it was leafed out, and, because I'm sure Jen Hughes would have noticed it if it was visible. So,
Yeah, it might not be visible in July.
yeah,
Yeah.
right, exactly.
You know, they're demoing an existing deck, and they're building a pretty good-sized carpentry project, so I think taking this down is a good time to do it.
Be a good scout project, take it down.
All right, Joe, any questions?
No questions?
Huh?
No, no.
Joe?
I have none.
Is the shed, I do have one question, I'm sorry. Is the shed just sitting on the ground, or is and no formal foundation, right?
No, there's no foundation, there's some like cinder blocks.
Just cribbing,
towards the
yeah.
back,
Okay, yeah, so,
It's not,
so removal by hands
yep.
is appropriate, and I guess we can go so far as to say, no excavation other than what's permitted for the deck.
None should be needed.
Okay.
I need a motion.
Conditions? What are the conditions?
Yeah, so, pre-construction with erosion controls, excavated soils out, post-construction, and remove, shed by hand.
I move that we issue the -3 with those conditions.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one is 428 Winter Street.
Alrighty. Alrighty. So this is for an in-kind replacement of an existing collapsed 14 by 16 deck and stairs. Installation of 7 new concrete footings and replacement of rotting sheeting on the home. All materials will be disposed of into the dumpster placed in the driveway. Erosion controls will be installed between the work and the 25. Conservation Department staff took measurements and confirmed that the deck is approximately 42 feet from the edge of the BVW at its closest point. The applicant has requested a waiver to rebuild the deck in its current location. Due to the access and egress and architecture of the house, moving it is cost prohibitive and it won't work anywhere else, really. Conservation Commission approved the septic system upgrade in the 50-foot buffer in 2000, and the plans at that time showed the existing deck, so it's been there since 2000. A certificate of compliance for that project was issued in 2001. Let's see, so we recommend closing the hearing and issuing a negative number 3 with pre-construction to inspect erosion controls, excavated soils from post holes be taken off site or out of the buffer at least, and post-construction inspection to verify compliance and removal of erosion controls.
Thank you, Amy. Joe?
So the footprints is the same as?
Exact same.
Exact same.
So I can pull up the plan.
No, I believe you. I think my question goes to, so on the, since this is an RDA, there's no as-built ever going to be required.
Right.
So what level of satisfaction should we expect? Do we want, does the building inspector require a certified plot plan? You-
No, but they do post-construction inspections and measurements, which we can do too. I mean,
Oh.
it's,
So I would add that requirement, even though you wouldn't typically do it on an RDA, but with this is theoretically a waiver on an RDA. I think we need it.
okay.
I'm all set.
Al?
I am all set, thank you.
Jack?
All set.
Motion?
Move is it negative
So
3?
negative number 3 with
Yeah,
the
negative 3, so moved.
conditions as discussed.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous.
I don't
Nick.
know if Sean's on yet. He'll,
No, Sean?
I'm sure he'll chime
Okay.
in.
Hold
How
on.
about, how about our Eagle Scout?
I just texted him and,
Actually, it's a her, and
I did say her.
she is meeting with her troop committee now, so we can push her off till later as long as she gets in tonight.
Okay.
okay.
I'm her mom,
Okay.
No, I thought you
so
were my
I'm
dad.
listening. I'm listening to make sure that that she'll be heard tonight, but she's definitely presenting to another group right now.
Okay,
Very good.
great. Thank you for the
All
update.
right. You're welcome, thank you.
I have a text here from Sean. He says he's unable to access the meeting using the PIN that was sent to him, likely because the meeting started 90 minutes ago. Would that PIN have changed something?
No.
So can you just confirm the PIN?
Yeah. I'll text him.
Okay, thank you. Have Amy call me.
Oh, okay. Want me, I'll step out and
He's
call him?
requesting you call him.
All right, I'll step out.
I'm sure it's so that he can figure out how to log in.
All right, well, I gotta write this down.
Some ice water there, Jack.
Mhm.
Grant 2-minute recess because we won't have a quorum when they leave.
2-minute recess. Best laid plans, huh? Mayday.
Too much technology for.
You showing on the road?
He's actually working, but he said he would call in so that we would have a quorum.
Yeah.
But he's actually at work, so he's doing us a favor by calling in.
And thank you, Al, for talking to Tony for staying on.
I
Yeah. That's okay.
Can anybody hear me?
Hi, Sean.
Hello?
So we're just waiting for Lou to come back into the room.
Can you hear us, Sean?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Are you able to hear us okay?
Clear as a bell.
Good.
All right, good. So we're just waiting for Lou to return. We remain on a brief recess. We need a little sign that goes up in front of the camera that says recess, kind of like a ring, you know? Round 2, round 3, Mayday Maven. In this corner, Mayday Maven.
You could probably get those intermission videos from the old drive-in theaters, you know,
Those-
dancing hot
I
dogs and
remember
french
those.
fries.
Those were the best. Those were the best. The fact that I can remember them is probably a dead giveaway.
You guys are doing a great job of socially separating.
Boy, thank you. It's like a prize fight, you know, one, in this corner, we have Mayday Maven. In this corner, we have Jersey Joe Lynch.
Jersey Joe. Sounds like a slub shop.
Actually, there was a great fighter, but his name was Jersey Joe Walcott,
That's right.
and he was a champion around the turn of the century, Jersey Joe.
Geez, we lost Marvin Hagler a couple weeks ago, and
Marvelous Marvin.
I ran into Marvelous,
yeah.
Marvelous Marvin about 35 years ago at the airport, shortly after he had his championship, and he had a unique distinction. As a trooper, you probably knew it.
Yeah.
He was the only person in Massachusetts with a vanity plate more than 6 digits. His license plate was Marvelous One.
Marvelous One, he was.
Marvelous One.
He was indeed the Marvelous One. Amy just said, as soon as Lou takes a seat, I'm going to recuse myself, and I'm going to leave the table, so that the record is clear.
Sean is on air, I take it.
He is on air, yes.
Okay. So, this is an RDA for Old Wildcat Road, Purgatory Lane. This RDA comes under an agricultural exemption per 310 CMR 10.04B3, which is normal maintenance of land and agricultural use for the repair or replacement of existing access roads and livestock crossings. As the commission is aware, Old Wildcat Road, AKA Purgatory Lane, is a town right-of-way that connects Lancaster Road and Foster Street and provides access to land that has been in agricultural use since the 1940s. The applicant owns and hays the parcel known as Meadowfish Place with frontage on Old Wildcat. Normally, the parcel is accessed from Foster Street side over a stone culvert bridge that spans a section of Mosquito Brook. The stone culvert, located in a separate private property, is deteriorating and in need of cost-prohibitive repairs. The culvert is not stable enough to support the applicant's heavy equipment and hay product, and there is a very real possibility of culvert collapse during use. Thus, a safe access from Lancaster Road side is necessary to continue haying operations. The applicant proposes normal maintenance of the right-of-way involving trimming of shrubs and limbs that are currently growing in towards the access road, as well as filling in some of the rutted areas with a suitable base material, The plan is to use 3/4 inch stone base, a power level, and then a roller. No expansion of the existing access roadway footprint is being sought, and no alteration of resource areas are proposed. The only areas that the work will be performed in is riverfront and buffer zone. Let's see. Although exempt from regulation, the applicant wished to be transparent with neighbors, the commission, and the town as to his intention to perform this maintenance work. Conservation staff walked the site and viewed the wetland flagging and found the delineation reasonable. There are stone walls that run on either side of the right-of-way that conveniently contain the limit of work. So I would recommend closing the hearing and issuing a negative number 5 determination, citing that the work does not require an NOI, as it meets the following agricultural exemption, which is 310 CMR 10.04B3. And then I would just recommend a pre-construction site inspection to observe and direct erosion control installation, and then post-construction inspection to verify compliance and erosion control install. Ray, can you tell Ray? Thanks. All right, so I guess we're getting some static again. I know we have Greg Hockmuth on the phone with us as the applicant's representative. And if you guys have questions, shoot.
Okay.
I don't have so much questions as I do just to restate what Amy just said, but in maybe in a little bit different way. So it's more than just a right-of-way. I think the road exists as under Massachusetts law, is what would be known as an ancient way, laid out and prescribed and never formally abandoned. So it's not just simply someone making use of a way that they may have simple rights to, but actually prescribed rights to. So I think it's an important matter of why the person has the ability to go in and do this. The other piece of it is clearly, as you said twice, that it is exempt. But given the fact that this work is in close proximity, but in the same token confined within the right of way, I think it only makes good sense to be a good neighbor and forthright to bring it before us and be able to have us act on it and have a document in place. So I have nothing more to add.
So let me I forgot to add that I did share this with our town engineer and DPW director, and neither of them had any issue with the proposed work.
Okay. The other thing I want to add also, just by looking at this plan, is I know that there has been some historic concerns with flooding and stormwater, but mostly upgrading from this area. So the work that's being proposed here, particularly in the area where there's some vulnerability of the culvert, I think is actually not so much going to improve, but certainly not worse in those areas that are already prone to issues upstream.
Okay.
This work is all downstream from those areas, as I see it. I'm all set.
Okay, very good. Greg, I just have one question. When we talked about this project, there was a crossing that we were supposed to look at that after, or I forget, what we were supposed to.
Yeah, we were contemplating making some improvements at one of the crossings, but we decided to stick with what's there. We think it will be sufficient. So there's no improvements proposed to any of the culverts that exist.
Okay, thank you, because like I said, I was there, so I can't comment. I'm fine. Jack?
Yeah, just one small question. I thought I heard you right, Amy, that a stone wall is a barrier on either side of the of the limit of work, and that the limit of work is limited to vegetation control and repair of grading of the driving surface. Sounds pretty good to me. No more questions. Sean?
Sean?
He's still with us.
Sean, are you muted?
guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, there we go.
Great, thank you. So Amy, just a couple questions. So this is an existing roadway? I mean, it's a existing roadway that's in use and is just being updated for all intents and purposes?
Yeah, I mean, it's just being maintained so that access is just a little bit easier. Right now,
Yeah.
it's getting
And you-
overgrown in spots.
Yep, and the culvert that's not in good shape anymore, do you agree with that?
Yes, we walked to it, and there's a very large granite, help me out, Greg. It's a granite,
Yeah, it's your typical, you know,
Capstone.
very old culvert, mainly large chunks of granite that were put together like Legos. And you can see right through the top. And over the years, some minor repairs have been made. But it's to the point now where it's a major repair is required that would be very, very cost prohibitive. And it's important to note too that, you know, the access off Lancaster Road, you know, hasn't been used for maybe 2 to 3 years. So there's some small shrubs and it'd be difficult to drive through there now. But prior to coming in off Foster, you know, the Lancaster side was, you know, a main access point that was used, not just by Mr. Manzi, but by Earl Foster and Archie Foster before him. And then what happened was when Lancaster Road went in, it got a little bit more busy and it was, you know, no longer the preferred route. It was difficult to drive a hay rig through the subdivision roadway system.
Got it? No, I don't have any other questions then.
so Lou, we do have comments from a couple of abutters.
Fire away.
All right, so this was received at 5:30 this afternoon from Paula Barrett. Will Lancaster Road become a second entrance in and out? And if so, why do we need a second access? How long will it take for the proposed work to be completed and how much noise will there be? Will there be controls to the start and stop times of the proposed work to lessen disruption? Her main concern is to make sure that any change happening to the land does not compound a situation that she already has. She's lived there for 37 years, and she is now getting a good amount of water coming into the right side of her backyard past the tree zone, and she wants to make sure that any changes to the land will not make this worse. We have 2 beaver huts behind the Frisilla property that she's told nothing can be done to remove them. Some trees have died because of the water seeping. She would like everyone to be clear that you would need to make sure that this and any further thoughts on changing the area to anything other than agricultural use could cause some serious property damage to the surrounding abutters.
So Greg can answer some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, would you like me to give some answers to some of those questions?
That would be great.
Sure. So the first one, will Lancaster Road become a second entrance in and out? And if so, why do you need a second access? I guess my response to that would be that access has been there since as far back as 1945. And that's documented on the record plan that's referenced in the first deed for this parcel, which was issued in 1945. How long will it take for the proposed work to be completed and how much noise will there be?
Greg, can we break this into slices on that first question? So the
Yeah.
question was, is this going to be used as a secondary access? So it's not going to be used as a principal access, but by right, they do have, right to use it whenever they do in fact need it, but that's not the intention, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. How long will it take for the proposed work to be completed and how much noise will there be? I can't really speak to the noise. It would be, typical construction equipment, which isn't too loud. And we're not building a road. It's really just just maintenance, so it shouldn't take too long. I think it's just shy of 800 linear feet. And, you know, a good chunk of that road is okay today. So I don't have an accurate answer on the length of time it will take, but once the applicant meets the contractor, we'll have a much better idea. Will there be controls to start and stop times of the proposed work to lessen the disruption? Well, they'll have to adhere to whatever the typical start and stop times are in town, which typically it's 7 to 7. But I imagine the property owner will want to make everybody happy, and that's really the main reason why he's filed this, was just to be fully transparent so that everybody was aware of what the situation was. So my main concern to make sure any change happening to the land does not compound a situation that we already have. I think that's a valid concern. That reach of Mosquito Brook is riddled with beaver. And as you know, it's hard at times to even find where the channel is. When you look at an aerial photo, it looks more like a braided series of ponds than an actual stream channel. So I do understand that concern, as did Mr. Manzi. He actually installed a beaver deceiver at his own expense. He worked with the commission and Beaver Solutions. It's an outfit out of Western Mass, and that was in 2008 and 2009. And the whole point of that beaver deceiver is to keep the water moving. You know, without that, it'd be much wetter than it is today. So that's not just a concern of the abutters, it's also a concern of the property owner.
Greg, where's that beaver, is that at the culvert?
It is.
At
Yeah,
the culvert,
it's at the culvert on the other side of the hayfield. But I will say on the Lancaster Road side, probably about 10 years ago, there was a very substantial dam, portions of which are still there. And there's beaver activity every year when I work out in that area. So it's something that everybody will have to keep an eye on. But certainly this project, you know, it shouldn't have any impact. We're not filling floodplain. We're out of the bordering vegetative wetlands. As Amy mentioned, we're just in the buffer zone to the wetlands and the riverfront area for Mosquito Brook.
So it's safe, Greg, it's safe to say that the road itself is high ground. The culvert is basically the road's acting as a levee or a dike, if you will, and the culvert is where it passes water. And the beaver deceiver that was installed was actually in the interest of protecting everybody upstream to prevent the beaver from actually blocking that culvert, the only access out.
Well, with the exception of the culvert where the beaver deceiver is on the Foster Street side of the hayfield, the road runs parallel with with Mosquito Brook. What happens is there's another perennial stream, believe it or not, that flows down into Mosquito Brook from the Greenbelt property to the north.
Fishbrook?
So we're not substantially higher than the brook for most of the length of the road, but we're definitely higher by feet, with the exception of the first crossing, which is just a wetland crossing where there's a small culvert that drains a BBW on the north side of Wildcat Road.
So the reason for me asking the question the way I did is that even grading the roadway, we're not increasing or otherwise further impounding the water upstream. As long as that culvert and the beaver deceiver are functioning, it's going to provide the same level of protection that it has for years. And this work has no impact at all.
That's correct.
All right.
I've lived here for 37 years, and I am now getting a good amount of water coming into the right side of my backyard past the tree zone, and I want to make sure that any changes to the land will not make it worse. We have 2 beaver huts behind the Frisella property, and I've been told nothing can be done to remove them. Some trees have died because of this water seeping. I'm not surprised. I've seen that slow creep of water along this reach of Mosquito Brook, and as I mentioned before, this project is not proposed to fill floodplain. And as Commissioner Lynch pointed out, as long as that beaver deceiver keeps working, which there's no proposed changes to, the water level should remain as is unless beavers create more dams, which is highly likely. So I would suggest just keeping an eye on where things are, and if you see things getting worse, have somebody look into it. And the final comment, I don't think is anything that I need to address.
All right, and so we have one more abutter comment that came in at 8:10, so let me read that. So this is from Bob Barrett. Regarding the maintenance of land and agricultural use at Old Wildcat Road. The right-of-way used to be a drivable but narrow dirt road 35 years ago when I moved into my house at 27 Fuller Meadow Road. I am an abutter whose property touches at or near the old road. I don't think anyone has actually driven on the overgrown north side of the road in 30-plus years, and very few walkers. I can see and hear anyone who does walk along that route. Lancaster Road did not exist 30 years ago. Today, I don't even think there is a way to drive to the road from the north side without driving between two houses on Lancaster Road, number 85 and 91. The purpose of the proposed improvement is to improve the road for maintenance equipment, including filling of rutted areas with pressed stone. I'm sure that maintenance equipment would not probably use the road more than a couple of times per year. But won't the proposed improvements make the road much more drivable for anyone from Lancaster Road entrance? Does that mean that anyone at any time, day or night, will now be able to access the drive on that road, including the drive between the houses on Lancaster? Is it really so much more difficult and costly to repair the existing stone bridge? That would not encourage additional vehicle access.
So is that it, Amy?
Yep, that's it.
So in 1993, a notice of intent was filed for this exact same maintenance that we're proposing tonight through the agricultural exemption. That order of conditions approved maintenance to 2 or 3 culverts, stone to be applied. It was a pretty aggressive repair. That work was done, and a certificate of compliance was issued in 1994. So there's definitely been activity in that roadway much earlier than 30 plus years ago. In fact, I was informed that within the last 3 years, vehicles have traveled down that roadway. It won't be public. There won't be public vehicles allowed to drive through. The first section of that roadway, parcel I, is also owned by Mr. Manzi. I don't believe it's part of the right-of-way. But it is accurate that Lancaster Road isn't that old. But before Lancaster Road, the subdivision went in, there was a farm road through that subdivision that provided access to this farm field. It went all the way out to the main road there. I think, is that Boxford Street? Salem Street. Yeah. But it is, it is a hay field and active agricultural use. It's eligible for the agricultural exemption, and that's what we're proposing to do.
Oh, like, you gotta go to the DPW, so it is, the town still retains the right of way.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's not that we can gate it and close it, it's still a right of way.
Yeah, I think it's the applicant's intention to use it for agricultural purposes alone, but we can't revoke any other rights that may exist in that road by others.
Right,
So,
right, we can't stop people
Yeah.
from using it.
yeah, but the reality is nobody's gonna go down there unless they have business down there. If people wanna walk it and it's the right of way, I suppose they can walk it.
I believe the Foster Street side is it's an easement. I'm not sure that the actual Wildcat Road goes all the way through to Foster. Let me just look at that plan real quick.
Sure. Well, he's looking up.
Yeah. Yeah, it turns into an easement, right away to Foster Street, see reference deeds. Yeah, I believe that's just an easement and not part of Wildcat Road.
And the easement runs in favor to who and for what purpose, do you know?
Mr. Manzi to access,
So he can control access there,
Yes.
because it's an easement to his right. So I guess I ask, I'm not sure if you can speak on authority from him, is it his intention or his desire to chain it, a cable it, or gate it in some fashion?
Well, there is a gate on that side now. When you come in off Foster Street, there's a driveway, and when you drive down the driveway, there's another driveway off to the right. There's a gate there now.
And he intends to leave it there?
I believe so.
So I think that addresses that about his concern, I think, adequately.
We're talking about the other side.
Doesn't matter, if you can get through, it's a long dead end.
Well, like you say, we're talking about people walking it or riding their bikes on it. Or, I don't think we can restrict that. Can we?
I don't think we can. I think it's that the property owner who has that easement can do what he wishes, but I think about his concern was that, would vehicles be able to drive through in a, through fashion, and I don't think that's the case from what I just learned. Greg, I do have a technical question on the culvert itself. You spoke about, and I've seen these old culverts all over the place. Just rubble, stone slabs on the side stacked, and stone slabs spanning the crossing with voids in between them. You're also proposing to improve the road in that area by filling and grading there as well?
No.
No.
This work would stop short. Let me see if you pan right after that dark rectangular culvert that's perpendicular to the roadway.
I see it.
Yep. Just to the right of that, there's an opening in the stone wall, and that's the farm field. That's where the work would stop.
All right, so there's no concern for any of this work being proposed, either damaging the stone slabs, it's going to stop short of that?
It's going to stop probably 500 feet short of that.
Thank you, I'm all set.
Jack, any more questions?
Nope.
Sean still out there?
Any more butters?
Nope.
Okay, motion.
Sean still out there?
Oh, Sean, I'm sorry.
No, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, no, I'm good.
You're good? Okay. Would you like to make the motion, seeing you're on the phone?
-5?
Yes.
Sean?
So, second.
Joe, -5, Sean, second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, opposed, and that's unanimous.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Sean.
All right, take care, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you for popping in.
Sean, put in for time and a half, will you?
I will. I was gonna wait till I get to 30 minutes on the nose, but I won't bill you for that extra. It'll just be a 0.4.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye, Sean.
All right. So, we did Boxer Street, Amy?
No,
We didn't, all right, so no, 415 Boxer Street is the next applicant.
so, this is a RDA for a proposed 36-foot round above-ground pool at, just off the rear deck of the house, and it is within the 100-foot buffer zone. Let's see, the pool is sandwiched between the 50-foot no-build zone and a pressurized water line running from the well to the house. As the plan shows, there's an elevated knoll between the proposed pool and the wetland, which provides a natural protection to the wetland. The side of the knoll may need to be cut into just a little bit and retained to accommodate the pool. See, I performed a site inspection. I found the wetland line to hold true. I found an area within the 25 no disturb zone that has experienced yard waste dumping right around here. And the owner said that there was a historic mound there and they just added to it. So I talked to her about removing it and finding a new place for it outside of the 25. And I would suggest that, that be a condition of the permit that conservation staff identifies a new location outside the 25. Let's see. So the work is within existing lawn, requires no removal of any woody vegetation. In 2015, the property was subject to order of conditions for a septic system upgrade. The wetland markers are in place, but a certificate of compliance was not issued. So the current owner bought it just after the septic was upgraded for the transaction. So really, most of it was out of the buffer anyway. We have the tank that was in the buffer. So, let's see. So, the only thing I forgot to ask is where the pool equipment will go, but honestly, the slope of the knoll is really gonna control that, so I suspect it will go on the east side of the pool or off the deck. But we can get clarification for that. So I would recommend closing the hearing and issuing a negative number 3 determination requiring that the pool be a cartridge-style filtration system with no backwash, pre-construction inspection for erosion control, and at that same time identify a relocation area for yard waste compost, post-construction inspection to verify compliance and approve removal of erosion controls. And I suppose that at some point that the old order should be closed out. But
Thank you,
that's
Amy.
what I have.
Joe? So this one's a tough one. It's an in-ground pool or above ground?
Above ground.
Above ground,
Yep.
okay. So what I'm looking at is no topography, no topo lines in
Oh,
the
yeah.
vicinity of the work line itself. I see it off-site.
No, we have it.
Well, and I'm extrapolating what I see on the side.
Oh.
So from the edge of the 50-foot no build down to the wetland line itself, if you could slide this side this way some, if you could?
This way?
Nope, the other way, sorry.
The other way?
The other way, what I'm trying to right there. So I'm looking at a topo line of about 100 feet at the edge of the pond, at the edge of the pool, sloping down to 86.
Yeah, I'll get you a picture.
That's a 24% slope. 28% slope. That's a 28% slope right on the edge of the 50-foot no disturb. How could this be a RDA?
Well, there's,
Am I wrong on my math? If I'm 14-foot drop off in 50 feet,
let me get, okay.
it's
So
28%.
So
Like right there.
here's the knoll,
Yep.
and the pool is gonna go right in here, so, it's gotta level out a little bit here.
A little?
10 feet.
But, I mean,
They're
honestly,
gonna take 10 feet.
Okay, that picture helps me. Let's go back to the plan.
okay,
Because I guess the plan, and you did enhance the topo so I could see it better.
yeah, let's see.
So I was thinking that was like a cross slope, but you're saying it's like a knoll, finger-like projection.
Yeah,
All right, so that's actually, if you don't mind, let me just trace this line around, this line. It's like 92 to 8, all right. So it's a 6-foot, so that's a 12% slope down to the wetland line, 12%, nowhere near the 28.
92. That's right,
But,
92, you can see right here.
So I guess the question is, with that kind of slope right on the edge of the pool, with leveling that does have to be done, and I don't even see any erosion controls here, are they, proposed?
No, we
I
need
see
to
them for
get
the
that.
septic, so I think
Yep.
at the very least, they need to propose erosion controls. There's gonna be some, I guess not stockpiling so much as
They're gonna need fill.
fill brought in to fill up that area to the edge, and then how do you propose to slope that grade and stabilize it before?
To be done.
I-
Here's,
I don't see this as an RDA.
no.
And I'm gonna just hold off until others go around and chime in.
I didn't know, I didn't see I don't remember seeing the topo.
I know it's really light, but
Yeah, it is. The other thing, you said that there's a outstanding COC?
yeah, for the septic. I don't, it seems, I think, I mean, this is the septic plan.
Can't even come
And,
before us
and most of it
with an outstanding
was
permit.
out of the buffer.
Huh?
Can't even come before us with an outstanding permit. Is the old permit expired?
Yeah, oh, yeah. There was, the
Not
last
an IDA.
Huh?
It's not an
form of,
IDA.
No.
we had, communication between Ben Osgood and Jen Hughes, I think, in, 2017, just with Ben stating that the project was completed and, you know, areas of disturbance was seeded and starting to grow grass, but the follow-up stopped there. And I'm not even sure why this was a notice of intent, since most of the septic was outside the buffer, but anyway.
Like I said, this needs a lot of work, but usually we don't issue any new
Right.
orders when there's an old order outstanding.
I found this after it was submitted, so, I mean, I found the old order after it was submitted. I did dig.
Is the applicant representing themselves, or are they represented by an engineer?
No, they're representing themselves.
Okay, okay. So you see how that might have slipped through the crack on their end. You know, a consultant should have caught that, but an applicant acting on their own behalf may not. That's part of the peril of,
Well,
Getting this far.
and in their defense, they really want to get that cleaned up, because if they ever decide to
Oh,
sell,
yeah, and
they'll
yeah.
they won't be able to sell it,
right.
because they won't get clear title.
So let me ask a procedural question, because I'm not clear. So 242-1665 is a previous order,
Yes.
and did that order just expire?
Oh, yeah, it was issued in
So there was no
2015.
COC?
Right,
didn't just expire, it expired a long time ago.
yeah.
Would it have been
Probably in
eligible for a
2018.
COC had they, would that project 1665, was it completed? And would it be eligible for a COC?
Yeah.
So if they came in and did a COC request for 1665,
They
Would-
could close it out.
they could close that out. Would they then be eligible to do this under an IDA? Because the standard, the MACC instructs us.
Without closing the old one up, they are not entitled to any other permitting application.
So I'm saying, okay, so Amy calls them up and says, look, you gotta close out 1665. So let's say they do. Now, then they're starting clean. Is the new project gonna require more than 3 conditions?
I think so.
So that's the test, that's the litmus test.
I mean, it's considerable amount of earthwork on a slope right on the edge of the 50 for a pool, on a slope that's steep, with no erosion controls shown. I think it's a full-blown NOI.
But it's mostly excavation that we're talking about, right?
That's what
Yeah.
one of our biggest things we permit,
So
is
just-
excavation.
I'm just trying to get
slopes
it-
And ground disturbance.
I gotta get it clear in my head so I
This
can,
one right here, Al,
yeah,
is probably about a 6-foot fill,
6 foot.
just to make it level. Now you gotta go slope it back.
Okay, I got you.
And chase it down, all, you know, somewhere between the 50 and 25.
Yeah, they'll probably be in between the 50 and 25.
Needs to be
fill.
engineered.
So let's do this. Let's give Amy the information that she needs to give them, that they have to close out 1665, and then they have to convert this to a notice.
See, this is all downhill.
I got you. But let's try to save them some time.
And I think there's an intermediate step, Al, just to be fair. So absolutely close it out. The intermediate step is the plan they've submitted is inadequate. They need to hire a surveyor and
Yeah,
engineer
they need a
to design what it is they want to build.
20 scale plan.
And depending on what it is they're proposing for actual work, if it's fill or if it's cut, we don't know what they're proposing, because they haven't showed it. But depending on what they're proposing, is going to tell us how close they actually are gonna need to work
So
in between that 25 and 50.
So if we're gonna try to help them out, what costs them the least amount of time? Just, having Amy send them the instructions that they need, or just tell them just outright, come back with an NOI? Close out 665 and come back with an NOI.
I would say you need an NOI because we got, there's
I
more
think
than
it's an
three
NOI.
conditions, there's more than three conditions.
Okay. All right.
Unfortunately.
I'm sorry, committee members, could I be heard? I'm the property owner. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, no, it's all right, I was gonna get to you.
Let me,
Okay,
just have to,
sorry.
we just have to get to Mayday first.
Yeah,
Give,
one-
ask them just to hold.
Yeah, one sec, we're just gonna have
I'm all
one
done,
more
Jack.
Yeah. No, that was
Thank
a
you.
good discussion, and I, looking at that knoll, it's a bit of a knoll. Probably does require design. Just to add to the discussion to this point, I was looking at the proposal is for a 36-foot diameter round above-ground pool, and the edges of that 36 feet touch the 50-foot or touch the 50-foot no-build, and then touch that underground water line that they need to avoid. So he's going, I get what he's doing, he's going for the biggest pool he can get, but with all this other stuff going on, it's gonna take some real thinking to do it. And I would tend to agree with these guys that NOI is more appropriate on this one.
So, Mr. Young, if you wanna comment, go right ahead.
Yes, thank you, committee members, for allowing me to speak. I appreciate your efforts. I just have one quick question on, I guess, a COC request or something that has still not been closed out. When we purchased the house in 2016, would you just be able to kind of just let me know what that is? Because I don't know what the terminology is. There's still an outstanding permit. Is that what I'm to believe?
Right, that's correct. So when they did the septic system upgrade, they pulled a notice of intent application, received an order of conditions permit, and, did the work, but in order to close that permit out, a request for a certificate of compliance has to be submitted with an as-built plan. So I guess that never got caught at the transaction time when you bought the house, but it's going to trip you up in the future if you ever decide to either refinance or sell. So it's sooner the better to just tackle this so it's behind you and doesn't give you a snag.
Okay, I appreciate that, and I guess we can talk offline on that.
Yep.
But then regarding the actual pool itself, the esteemed committee member that mentioned the 36-foot, I was kind of going for the most pool that I could get, is correct. There is considerably less grading needed if we did a smaller pool. If we just shrinked it down to 25 feet or even 20, it would be on a much flatter area that would not require any kind of retaining wall or grading.
So,
So I guess just moving forward, does that require another submission of a plan that reflects that?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch the applicant's name. I wanted to refer him to
Mr. Young.
Mr. Young. Mr. Young,
I'm sorry,
this is-
Jeffrey
this-
Young, 415 Boxford
Yeah,
Street.
this
I
is- this
apologize.
is
I
Joe
should have
Lynch.
identified myself.
That's okay.
So, yeah, that's actually the wiggle that you might have to consider, because as proposed right now, from center of the pool into the knoll, it's a 4-foot cut between contour grades, which theoretically
Okay.
suggests that you're at least a couple of feet fill to the right as we're looking at it. So there's a substantial amount of earthwork that's proposed. Making your pool diameter smaller minimizes that amount of earthwork. And if you can do that in such a way where there is almost no earthwork, then this probably stays
Right.
as an RDA.
Okay, I think that's probably what we'll end up doing, and I'll have to redraft the plans to reflect that. Do we have to come back before the commission with those again, or can I work with Amy offline on that?
No.
You'd have to come back to the commission.
Okay.
You gotta clean up. You have to clean up 242-1665 first from the septic system before we can even work on your RDA.
Okay.
Yeah, let me
Okay.
offer something, because
Stand by, Mr. Young.
cleaning
Thank you,
up,
sir.
cleaning up that form of permit requires an as-built plan.
Yes.
While commissioning that
as-built
as-built plan,
Yeah.
have them show the pool and submit that as their document.
It's a good idea.
With contour lines.
With the contour
Yeah.
lines, yeah. I mean, the base plan exists, so whoever's gonna do that as-built is going to,
Is that the as-built for the?
No.
For the
It's not,
septic?
that's the
It's not.
proposed.
Okay, that's the proposed.
yeah, so he needs an as-built anyway, so use that vehicle to move this thing forward, to demonstrate that
Okay.
it's gonna be an RDA.
Kill two birds with one
Okay.
stone.
So that's a,
Amy, you know how to describe that to him offline?
yes.
Thank you.
So this is a Ben Osgood Jr. plan.
So-
Amy, can you pull the plan back the other way? I think if he spins the pool up closer to the driveway, that would help him with a lot of excavation work also.
Yeah, people want it behind their deck and,
Well, I
Not
mean,
off the
you
driveway.
want your pool, you want your deck, you want your, I want a lot of things too, but
when he gets his, as he's discussing his as-built plan with his engineer, those kinds of conversations can make,
Yeah,
can
I
all
mean,
happen.
I don't know if you get a 36 in there, but there is a possibility to spin that pool up closer to your driveway or toward the end of the deck.
Don't lose sight of the fact you have a separate A-series wetland to the right there, so you don't want to get too close to that either.
Yeah.
No, well, the 50's way down here.
Yeah,
That's
it
50
is.
from that.
But then the other 50
You could,
is
you could
right
actually
there.
start getting close over here, so you gotta be
Yeah.
real careful.
Could I ask one more question, and I promise I won't ask another one after that? If I spin it up to the northeast towards the driveway, I'm gonna be above my water line for my well. And I know that that's probably 5, 6 feet down. Is that gonna make an issue there if it's above that water line?
You mean leave your water line beneath your pool?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's
Yeah, you don't
the
wanna
only
do
way
that.
to spin it.
You don't wanna do
That's what I
that.
mean.
Yeah.
I can't spin it up to the northeast because the water line for the well is
Yeah, I
right there.
think working within the confines of where you are and keeping that water line away from your pool is what you want to do.
That's what I thought, but I just wanted to clarify. Thank
Yeah,
you.
so again, without complicating it, since you need to have an engineer do an as-built plan, that person who does that is going to be able to show the most optimum pool location and what it is that he will likely believe is approvable under an RDA. I recommend you follow that route, because it's gonna answer all of these hypothetical questions.
Okay, thank you. I apologize for that. I appreciate it.
All right, so we need a motion.
I think we should, I would move to
I'll
continue.
continue.
I would continue. I move that we
Second.
continue.
To the 28th?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So, Mr. Young, we're gonna continue till April 28th.
And then I can give you contact information for the design engineer on record. That might, be a good place to start.
Yeah. He's relocated from that address and
Yeah.
different company, you know that.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So I think we have Marie Hurst, our other Eagle Scout project, on the line.
Okay.
Marie, are you with us?
Yep, she's here.
Great. All righty.
Say hi. Come on, Marie. It's a long day.
You are a
She had
busy young
concert
lady.
today.
Yeah.
Sweetie, please, you need to come up here. She just had a 1 hour discussion about this with her troop committee, so I think and she sang tonight for 150 people. That's all we were allowed to have outside at the high school, so.
Oh, that's all.
Yeah. It was great. It was great. It was really great. So, sorry.
We approved this project, you gonna sing for us?
No. What's the product smooth? I don't get
You're in a choir, not solo.
It's not required.
Marie, what troop are you with?
I'm in 87G, which is, it's the girls from 87 because
Yep.
they're not technically allowed to be together, so.
Yeah.
But it's fine. We're,
So I'm a former troop committee chairman from Troop 82 and a former council committee chairman for advancement for the council. And you are the first female Eagle Scout candidate I've ever had a chance and the pleasure to talk to. Congratulations.
That's great. Yeah, my brother was Eagle Scout of 82, right? Yeah. So, yeah.
Very good.
So, yeah.
My two
Yay.
boys as well.
Great.
I was Troop 2.
I was 89.
Okay, go ahead.
Give us an
right.
overview, Marie.
So, my Eagle Scout project is to build a composting toilet in place of the porta potty that's currently there. That's ugly and blue and doesn't quite fit in with the surroundings, and costs $106 per month to rent, which is a lot of money that the Giving Garden has to use to not cook, not make food for neighbors in need and the needy. So I wanted to put a outhouse right in the spot that that porta potty currently stands, which is like around like 15 or so feet, 10 or so feet away from the shed that's currently there. And yeah, something like that. This is the plans for it. It's just we got it online.
Well, how are you gonna, talk
So-
about the composting toilet
So the
itself?
composting toilet is a contained system. It's not like a hole in the ground or anything. And it uses like coconut coke to, and I don't know how to pronounce it, I read it, to compost the everything to make sure it doesn't smell that much and it's good.
What system, is that Clivis system?
No, this is like a Nature's Head toilet. It's completely closed off. It doesn't. It's a self. What's it called?
Self-contained?
Self-contained.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. It separates the liquid and solid waste, so no sewage is made or anything. And yeah, and uses like air and such to compost.
But also, you need to have a little fan to
Yeah.
make the smell not happen. So we've got a little solar panel that we have in our garage, pretty much. So we're going to install a solar panel on the top of it, so it gets the very small amount of energy it needs to actually to make it be not smelly.
And help it compost faster. It's
And
really
help it-
composting
yes.
faster. That's what the fan is for. So
Yeah, it's not supposed to be smelly because there's no sewage, right?
Yes,
Exactly.
no sewage. Yeah.
How does it get?
Yeah, something like that.
How does it get maintained? Like, does it have to get pumped out or?
Nope, it's, so I want the candidate, because it sounds like you've done some research on this, describe that.
So it's like bins. Like it's supposed to be after like 90 uses. You have to empty it if that's like the max amounts. But so the way it separates it is you just have this little latch that you open up when you pee and close it. Yeah. So there's like this bin that you just like take out and you can dispose of it. You can,
So I think what you would
Garden
suggest is that you
yeah.
fill it up half with water.
to dilute it.
To
more,
dilute
yeah.
it, so it's not pee. And then you can use it,
I want to dispose of it somewhere.
you want to dispose of it, but we've been told don't dispose of it in the composting area at the garden because then that compost won't really be food safe. And even though the company says it would be, just to be
We don't
sure,
trust them.
we don't trust them. So you can get a second bin, so you can take it away. And this thing is really not used much.
Yeah, it's not.
It's used by one of our volunteers extensively. So I'm thinking that the number 2 would have to be just seasonally maintained, and if it's ever used. And then the number 1 would have to be maybe twice a season maintained.
And it does say you should empty it out every before like freezing
Oh, of
temperatures
course,
or
of
so you
course.
want to probably like every before the winter someone has
Winterize it, yes.
to take it out. And that is a picture of example that
Yeah.
someone made. That one's of course in the desert somewhere, so it's not quite the same, but it does have the same toilet and it's completely closed and such.
So Marie, I'm a civil engineer, and unfortunately, I know way too much about sewage and composting and human waste. But it's a well-thought-out project, and I think, typical of Eagle Scout projects that are very ambitious, as this one is, that
Yes.
building it and getting it off the ground, so to speak, at the outset is a pretty daunting task as a candidate, but the real functionality of it is making sure there's an operator's manual that stays with the facility, so folks forevermore using this know what to do and how to do it and how to manage it properly. Have you prepared such a manual?
I'm planning to prepare it in my project. I'm making like a poster to laminate and put on the wall that explains everything you need to know. I have not made it yet, but I will. It'll probably be taken mostly from the company who makes the toilets to make sure it's all accurate and such. And yeah, something like that.
And then also you're a heavy volunteer there.
Yes,
so-
I do volunteer at the Giving Garden as well, so I can probably even tell people.
But you're going to go to college, aren't you?
Originally, but I do want that to be there.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Okay. I think from a conservation perspective, I'm satisfied with what I've heard. I think you've got some more work to do. Your troop committee and your advancement committee will guide you through that. But, I appreciate the real innovative project. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm all set, thank you.
I think you did a great job, and I have no questions. Thank you.
No questions here.
So just, the commission, so they know, based on Taylor's measurements, this is out of the buffer zone, so, but just on CR property. Yeah, this is by far one of the most ambitious projects I've ever seen for Eagle Scout, and I commend you. That's awesome.
It was originally just going to be remaking the compost bins, but we decided to not do that.
Yeah, more.
So we're,
Yeah. This one's gonna save money, so.
Yeah, it's a
We'll
money
just under
saving one
enforcement
for
order,
them.
right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Marie, this sounds like it may be a bad thing, but we're going to do what's called a friendly enforcement order. We're ordering you to carry out this project. It sounds like it's a directive, but the reality is we support your project and we're giving you permission. So I move that we grant a friendly enforcement order to allow the project to move forward.
Second.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Great, so I'll prepare that friendly enforcement order and get it to you early next week, middle of next week. Are you okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're done, you're good, you're all set.
Good night.
Good night.
Now we got 2 hours worth of homework to do.
Free. You know, they actually have something similar to that at the Roaring Brook parking lot at Baxter State Park.
All of the trustees' properties on the remote properties, they're all using composting.
Yeah, so the last time I was up at Baxter, they had just installed, they had replaced the in-ground ones, sealed them, and put these in. And the difference is noticeable right away.
So they're usually elevated
Yeah.
with the rear hopper, because most of the work's happening on, below, use level, but needs to be accessible to get the bins up. But
The significance
this is
was,
good.
these things don't smell. And the one that was there that they had to seal and cap was just horrible. You
You
wouldn't,
own just an outhouse.
it was
Yeah.
worse than that even. It was, I can't even describe it, but
Okay.
you wouldn't use it. So, we're good.
Set,
Mill Pond,
Mill Pond, Townhouse Clubhouse.
So this RDA is for the construction of an 8x3 addition to the eastern corner of the existing clubhouse, which is actually outside of jurisdiction. Demolition of the existing deck and constructing a new larger 10x30 deck with stairs and associated concrete slab at the south end of the clubhouse. Install an ADA ramp off the east side of the deck, which is mostly out of jurisdiction. Replace existing walkway leading to the deck and around the front of the deck. You'll see it outlined. Oh, you can't really see it. Let me try to. So right now, I don't know if you can see it. Well, anyway, I'm going to just trace it. It's like right like that. So right now, there's sort of a walkway, but really it's a series of square bluestone tiles in mulch. Very, very informal. So they'd like to turn that into an asphalt paved walkway in that same footprint. Let's see. It appears that there are 23 new footings that will be required for the deck and ADA ramp. They show a stockpile area outside of jurisdiction. And the work is all well outside the no-build zone and out in the outer edges of the buffer zone to the BVW along Mill Pond embankment. You'll see that crosshatch area, which is the floodway to Kachikowick Brook, but it's appurtenant to the underground portion of it, the piped portion, so it's really sort of a phantom floodway, I guess, but it's just on the FEMA flood map. Work is outside of the 200-foot riverfront area. You'll see that straight dotted line. This is the 200-foot, and that corresponds to the daylighting of the brook at the culvert face. So that's it in a nutshell. So that the footings will be 12-inch concrete sonotubes set on 24-inch diameter Bigfoot footing bases. Let's see. So I'd recommend closing the hearing and issuing a negative number 3, requiring pre-construction inspection of erosion controls, all excavated soils from the addition and the footings to be removed from the site, and post-construction inspection to verify compliance and approve erosion control removal.
Thank you. Joe?
You had mentioned the bluestone pavers or bluestone
Yeah.
slabs and grass area?
Yeah.
Which is going to be removed and paved.
Yeah.
Are we getting any, is there any opportunity to get some improved drainage due to the added impervious area? You know, should we get a drip line along the edge? Should we put a sub-drain in?
I don't know if Andy Street's on with us. He's the project engineer. Are you with
I
us,
am,
Andy?
yeah. Andy
Okay,
Street,
great.
Civil Design Consultants. I'm sure the townhomes would entertain that. To be honest, they have a contractor lined up for the work specifically at the clubhouse, so their priority is really to get that done, and if there needs to be more work with this commission on the walkways, if there's concerns like that, we're happy to continue that discussion. But the idea was to, and the other piece is I'm not sure they're totally set on the final locations of those walkways. They may get reconfigured a little bit, the deck goes there. But the intent would be to have walkways around the deck, around the building, as more or less.
So the logic behind that change is because probably ADA, that it can't, go across natural ground, you gotta have some sort of a regular surface in order to hit the handicap ramp? Is that their logic?
Yeah, I mean, they're, I'm sorry, I cut you off.
Did you
Yeah,
get,
I mean, they're putting the work in to build that ADA ramp and just want to make sure there's accessibility all the way around there, yeah.
They're putting the ADA ramp, they want to make sure there's continued accessibility off the bottom of the ramp around.
Right.
Here's plan view.
do you guys, you're the design engineer for civil, or you're the project manager? I'm sorry, what was your role? Is it Andy?
Yeah. Andy, what's your role with the project?
I'm sorry, you're really breaking up.
Yeah, I was
My
asking
role-
Andy, what I was asking is your role, your project manager, construction manager, are you the engineer, civil engineer for the project?
I think I got you, but I'm the civil engineer, yeah, for Mill Pond Townhomes, yeah. They have a separate architect involved for the thing you're looking at now, and I'm the engineer of record.
Okay, so as the civil, that's why I'm asking the question the way I am, is that when you're adding impervious area on a non-single family residential building, we're gonna ask for some sort of stormwater improvements in collecting the runoff from that additional impervious area is something, I'm gonna look for. And right now, we don't see anything proposed, so I'm asking is that if we continue this, that I ask you to bring that to the next meeting for us to see. Okay?
I apologize, I'm having a lot of trouble hearing you. I think we're talking about stormwater management off the walkways. I think the preference, to be honest, again, the preference would be to just have this approval, or negative determination, just take the walkways out and they come back and deal with the walkways after. They're anxious to get going on the clubhouse work themselves, with the walkways being kind of secondary. But I'm sure some sort of, drip edge, they could put some stone along the sidewalks. I'm sure they'd be open to that. But if it's gonna delay a possible determination, I think the preference would be to deal with that at a later date.
So you're withdrawing the request for the sidewalks, paved sidewalks, and leaving what's there in place?
If the choice is between continuing to another meeting or not, then yes, that like that removed, yeah. Yeah, we'll leave the sidewalks as is and then return to this commission to deal with the sidewalk.
Is the angst in your voice suggests to me that work is already ongoing out there? Have they started work, or they're just anxious to start?
No.
They're anxious to start.
They just have everybody's lined up on board. I believe they got flagged for this RDA because they went to actually pull a building permit. So there's nothing going on, but this was kind of the last piece, and
Got it.
everybody's kind of
Okay,
set.
thank you.
That's all.
Actually, go, Amy, slide right back. That, a little bit further down, that other picture just below the one we're looking at. Look at that. We get stone on the edge of the parking lot. That's something, what I'm talking about, at the edge of the sidewalk. If you're looking to do, rather than withdraw the sidewalk, if you can put a drip edge along the down gradient side of the walk, it's probably adequate.
Yeah, I was certainly willing to do that. That's fine. We were just talking about that being dealt with at a second meeting. So we can certainly do that. That could be a condition.
So if you're agreeing to that
put a
tonight,
stone that-
if you're agreeing that tonight, we'll condition it as such, and this moves forward as an RDA with the
Yeah,
sidewalk.
that'd be fine. Yep.
I'm all set.
I am all set.
No questions.
Okay. Motion?
Joe?
This is -3 or 5? -3, so moved.
With
Conditions, including the conditions,
the drip edge.
Yeah, drip edge on the down gradient side of the paved sidewalk.
pre and post.
Pre and post.
And removal of the soils. That works, that works.
Joe,
Al
Jack, did
second.
you seconded?
I think Al seconded. Did
Oh,
you
Al
second?
seconded.
I'm just along for the ride.
I'll second them, that's fine.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 I just want to interject
sorry.
here.
That's awesome.
Don't forget, more than 3 conditions,
I know.
more than 3, it's an NOI.
Well,
Not always,
Well-
depending on how severe the conditions are.
We were getting close.
The severity of the condition is really what,
Pre and post is one condition.
pre and post is one, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, pre and post is one.
Tonight it is.
Lou, it's like the old days when you went to the track.
Shoot out at Old Cape Corral.
I think we're all set.
You
Andy.
can't go
We
to
got
the
a
wedding if you didn't go to the
-3,
funeral.
With requirement of the pre-post, removal of soils, and the drip edge on the downstream side of the walkway.
Great. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, NOI 1787, request to continue to 428.
Second. Made.
Which one is that, Mr. Chairman?
135 North Ramp Road.
Request to continue, so moved.
Yeah, we don't have
Okay.
a quorum.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye. But just a real quick report on that,
I
just
second it.
is that we did meet in subcommittee. There's some follow-up we need to do with the applicant and the landowner. We'll do that this week, and hopefully this is moving forward in the next meeting.
Can I make a request if the subcommittee plans to go back to the site to walk around, I'd like to go along with you.
As long as we don't have a quorum, sure, you're always invited.
If you have a full subcommittee and I would screw the quorum up, then I'll withdraw my request. But if only 2 of you are gonna go,
Welcome aboard.
give me a call, just give me a call. I'd like to go out there and see it again before the vegetation starts to grow.
Okay,
Thank you.
242 1800 158 Forest Street, request to continue to
So moved.
428.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next one is 242 1807 108 Rosemont.
All right, the commission will recall requesting that the proposed plan be updated so that we have topo, erosion control, areas of stockpile, and get the wetland line formally plotted on the plan. We have a much better plan now before us. Let me just get it so that you can see it. Also, we wanted to wait for snow cover to melt so I could actually review the wetland line. Was able to do that, and I feel comfortable with the wetland as delineated. Took a couple soil samples, upgraded it. We've got some, bright soil, so I'm good with the line. So you guys can see that the proposed addition off the back of the house with stairs. And this is actually about 85 feet from the edge of BBW at its closest point. And I don't have any more to report because I think we have what we need.
Go down a
Go
little
down.
bit more. Yeah, I just
Sure.
want to see the driveway, no, the other
Oh,
way.
this
Yeah.
one.
Okay, there's the drive. Is that the driveway on the right?
Yep,
Yeah, okay. So that's your construction access?
yeah, absolutely. There's
Yeah.
no other,
Okay.
there's no other way.
Do you think there's a need to extend the erosion controls a little further to the right as we're looking at this?
Well,
If the
it's-
construction activity comes off the construction access,
well,
comes
we
off the
got-
end of the driveway?
We got a slope up here.
It's an upslope?
It's upslope, yep.
Okay, thank you. I'm all set,
98,
thanks.
99, 100. So I don't think so. We might want to protect that catch basin. It's really actually a little plastic grate. It's not really a metal thing. It's probably a yard drain of some sort, so.
Which catch basin is that? The one at the end of the driveway or the other one?
Right here.
Yeah,
This
there's
one.
two of them. Oh.
In
There's
the
two
middle
of
of the yard, it's like a plastic thing.
Is that one plumb to the one in the driveway?
I have no idea. I wouldn't.
Where do they go?
I don't know.
Out into the street.
Okay, yeah.
But Mike Seecamp's with us
That's
this
up,
evening.
that's uphill.
So if you have questions for Mike, he's with us.
Yeah, it is, it's uphill. Uh,
They're probably just infiltrators they put in just to catch them. Stuff coming down the hill and coming down the driveway.
So if you guys are good, I'd recommend closing the hearing and issuing in 21 days. So I draft up a decision for next meeting.
Any questions, Joe?
Is it Mike or Pat? Oh, that's Mike.
Mike?
We can see you. Hi, Mike.
It's
Joe
Mike.
Lynch. How you doing?
Hi,
The
good.
two
How are you?
the two catch basins we're talking about, there's one at the end of the driveway and there's one in the rear yard. Do you know anything
Yeah.
about those? Were they on the original subdivision plan or original house construction?
I do not. And I asked the engineer and he said he did not know where they daylight. It's likely that they daylight over, to the left of the rear left of the house, where you see like a patio area.
Uh-huh.
I suspect they come out, over there somewhere, not toward the wetland.
It
Outside
wouldn't
of
flow
50,
that way anyway.
that's fine.
Sort of
So I think,
Yeah, that would be,
uphill.
yeah, the natural flow down slope.
Mike, just, since we don't know what purpose they serve and where they go, I think if we were to ask that they be protected during construction.
Okay, yeah. you
Yeah,
can-
silt sacks or maybe just even put a barrier around them with hay bales.
Circle of hay bales.
Yeah,
Sure, yeah, okay,
that's all I have. Thank you.
okay.
I'm all set, Joe?
I have no questions.
I have no questions either.
Motion?
Recommendation is
Close an issue?
Close and issue in 21 days.
so
So-
moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, and that's unanimous.
Great.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Mike.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
Amy.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Oh, I hate these things.
Okay.
These things weigh you down.
All right, next one is 242-1808 Beechwood Drive.
Bug the shit.
Alrighty, let me get the plans up. All right, the site layout plan. This might help. I'll pull up other plans too, but, so, the commission will recall opening the hearing and after presentation discussion at the last meeting, continued to allow for the peer review to conclude and planning board to close and staff to review the wetland line with a wetland consultant, as I wanted to look at some flags. We received a revised plan and a final peer review letter. Horsley Witten signed off. The planning board closed and issued an approval decision. There were 2 areas of the wetland that we modified. We have a new wetland flag 103A that shifted the wetland 22 feet from 104, the existing 104, and a new wetland flag 105A that shifted 18 feet from existing 105. These changes did not significantly impact the site plan. It was, let's see, so I had some questions for the engineer. I asked for the construction stockpile area, and that is on sheet. It is on one of the sheets, but it's not on, I'll find the sheet, but it's there. Let's see, and then I asked about, there was discrepancy between sheet C4 and the stormwater and operation map, sheet C5, that mapped out snow storage areas. And so we have an updated, this is an updated plan. So these crosshatch areas are snow storage areas. I don't know, can you see that?
I cannot.
Jeez, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, you had it
Sorry.
a minute ago.
There we go. All right, I just gotta get really, all right, there we go.
There we go.
Okay, so crosshatch area here. Couple crosshatch areas there. And then some over up here. These highlighted areas,
Amy, could you go back to that second snow stockpile? It's like a little dead end, 25
yeah,
foot wide.
right here. This,
So I'll let Louis look at that as a snowplow aficionado. Where's the snow gonna go? Right to the end.
the end.
It's not gonna it's not gonna get to either side.
No. No, what,
So that's, someone hatching out an area by area that realistically is just unplowable. It's not gonna, that's not where the snow's gonna end up.
Yeah,
gonna bury that D.
drain manhole, yeah. So here's another area at the end of this,
That's realistic. That one be plowed
Yeah.
lengthwise and pushed to the end. That one's real.
Right.
oh, so this drain manhole in a previous plan snuck right into the 50, so this plan shows that it's out. And then the riprap, velocity reducer for this outlet was just inside the 50, so they moved it out. And then here's another area of snow storage here and up here.
Can you slide down a little bit again, please?
Yeah,
Just,
yep.
I'll push the picture up. Yeah, it's realistic.
Yeah, that one's okay.
So I can pull up the other plan set if you want. This was just sort of addressing my comments. So there is erosion control proposed, partly silt sock and silt fence, and then partly just silt fence. So I mentioned that the commission would probably want both throughout the entire edge of erosion control. Dewatering, they provided a somewhat generic sort of spec sheet for it. I don't know if you wanted something more site-specific. That could be a condition of the order. If you want me to, I can pull up the plans if you want.
Just a dewatering detail, right?
Yeah, it's more like a narrative for the
Why do it
contractor.
On a plan set, if they're putting construction set out, that should be just a detail on the plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, That's, I mean,
That's the way it always is.
That's what I was reading when you were first starting.
So I know Jason Hill is on the call with us. He's the project engineer. This is gonna take a while to download.
Yeah, hi. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Oh, hi. Thank you. It's Jason Hill with TF Moran, project manager, and there's others. Others are on the line, you know, associated with the application. But yeah. So everything that Amy has gone through tonight is pretty good outline of where we're at. And I have a color site plan that I could show if it, I could present it if it's benefit as a presenter to put up as an overview plan. If you'd like, I can present that to the commission.
Yeah, if you wanna try it, we'll look it up over here.
Okay. Hold on one second and see if I can get that. So, and I'll be brief.
You can upload it from Zoom?
Now, can you see that color rendering? It looks like you can. I can see it. Okay. So this is the same site plan. We just obviously colored it, you know, to makes it more realistic, obviously. So, yeah, we received all the zoning approvals in March for the contiguous buildable area, which was associated with the original tract. Got through the ZBA, met with the commission and with your commission in March, received some initial feedback related to basically the third-party reviews and the planning board process, and basically looking for us to, because there was originally a waiver or a special permit for the parking reduction, the commission was looking for us to solidify that with the planning board so that they had a hard plan, you know, to approve and look at. And so it turns out that we actually, the special permit for the parking reduction was actually withdrawn without prejudice due to a ruling of the building inspector. Because we're providing parking, although it's just behind the security fence, so we had enough parking. It just was a unique, you know, condition of the project. Anyways, so really the plan that we presented to you a month ago hasn't changed, except for Amy mentioned the wetlands, and there was a small change in the delineation of the wet in the area of the resource area in the southwest quadrant. Didn't have an impact on the proposed impact areas for this project. And then we basically pulled back. Obviously, there was some proposed work that was very close to the 25-foot buffer, no disturb, as well as some additional improvements that were, you know, basically coincident with the 50-foot setback line. So those improvements were adjusted, tweaked, so that we're not working in those or near those setbacks. Otherwise, as Amy mentioned, the third-party stormwater and erosion control review was completed with, there was one, I think, condition, it was like a note that they were looking for or something, it was a construction phase related issue that was just a condition of the contract for the construction project, but the design was approved and approved by the planning board. And yeah, subject to just the brief discussion on the snow storage areas, we have an opportunity to, there's this perimeter fence. So this site is the building itself here, and then there's a perimeter fence. It's in this vicinity, there's a gate, and then the perimeter security fence goes around the perimeter and ties back into the building for security purposes. We could look at basically pushing the fence out away from the edge of pavement to provide a more adequate snow storage zone than these side areas. So So we could make an adjustment to the plan as a condition of your acceptance, that we would adjust and maximize these spaces off of the dead end so that the snow could be stored in those locations as well. So otherwise, that's where we're at, and hopefully it wasn't too redundant, but we're here with any questions, and we'd like to get some type of a conditional approval if possible so that we can proceed to the next steps with regards to, getting our building permits prepared, because the construction season, although it's April, it's running, it gets away fast. So thank you for the time. Appreciate your attention to the project.
Amy, based on Jason's presentation, could you go back to the proposed site plan, specifically to this hammerhead parking driveway area? Because my question is, once the slide comes up, is that jurisdictional? Is that within the 100? Or we just,
Actually, it's out.
so we really don't have much of a say where they stockpile snow.
Well, this is the 100.
Oh, is it right there? It really
Right
is?
along there.
All right, so because of that,
So this would be ideal because it would be out.
so the only thing I would add to that comment, if he's able to move the fence, that makes that more ideal for sure.
Yeah.
I would also require that they put no snow stockpiling
Oh.
at the end of that
Yeah.
signs, put some signs there,
Okay.
okay? And if we do that, that's a prohibition, and then give them a place to put it, it's the best we can hope for.
Yep.
Any other thoughts, guys?
No problem.
I'm all set if they're able to do that.
So the preferred location is at the end of the long stretch? Yeah, right there, yeah,
Yep.
In this corner,
yep, got it.
Even here.
that
I
area
mean,
right
there's
there.
room here too. I mean, this is sort of a
Take
really good.
back
They
up,
could put it there, yeah.
push
You
that-
could back it and push it out,
Push it out, and then
and next guy push it across, yeah.
Okay.
maybe the width of the truck, just leave it there.
Right.
Push that the width of the truck over there,
Yeah.
that would be okay, that would be a hell of a lot. Right?
That's how I would call it, yeah.
Right. I have no questions, Al?
Are there any waivers requested for
Nope.
this?
No.
None.
None.
Okay, because we were.
Yeah, no,
unclear. They made some changes
they
to improve.
got there, so I'll zoom into that. So the grading got pulled out of the 25. And then this very probably,
Yep.
the updated plan, all of it's out at the 50.
At the 50, yeah.
Yep.
I have no more questions.
Well, the other thing, Amy, like Joe said, the dewatering plan should be
Yeah.
on the plan.
Yep.
And,
Mhm.
cutting into the hill, it's all sand anyway, so the leach, should leach good, but there should be some spot for dewatering.
Do you don't have a draft order
No, I
prepared?
don't.
All right, so if we were to continue it and these changes are made and introduced onto the plan, it's the same outcome. We'll
Yeah, yeah.
render the decision at the next meeting. So I think it's fair game to continue.
That's Amy's plan, was it?
Yeah, I move that we continue, unless there's any other comments.
Yeah.
No, I'm good, I'm ready to continue.
Is the applicant all set with that?
So Jason, I don't have a draft decision tonight, so the commission wants to continue to the 28th. And perhaps you can make those changes in the meantime, and I will have a draft decision ready for the 28th, so they can close.
Yes, you're saying procedurally, you can't even approve tonight.
No, but I
Sounds-
don't think the commission has any issues, and I think they can approve it.
Yeah.
I think
No, the
it'll be-
intention would be to issue the decision at the next meeting,
Right.
so long as we receive the plan with these changes on it,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's,
But I think the decision will be
Way we go.
favorable, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's okay, no problem. Thank you very much.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor say aye,
Aye.
opposed, and that's unanimous.
All right, so we'll see you on the 28th.
Thank you, folks, for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks for the
Have a great night.
presentation, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're getting there, thanks.
This is the one I was telling you about.
Okay,
Ready?
all right,
Did anybody send out for breakfast?
I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
242-1810, Ogden Pond Dam. This is
Alrighty.
just to open it up, right?
Yeah, let me just give you a brief overview, okay?
Quick one.
All right, so Osgood Pond Dam, so just to be clear, they mean the earthen berm that is under the access road that runs between the rear of the town hall parking lot and the Sutton Pond condos. The Office of Dam Safety performed an audit of this dam and gave it a poor rating. And I provided you guys with copies of that notification. According to the ODS, the existing vegetation of the upstream and downstream side of the dam is starting to impact the structural integrity of the earthen berm dam, and basically, all of the vegetation, roots and all, need to be removed, side slopes backfilled and seeded. According to the engineer, a perfect scenario by ODS is to see grassy slopes with no woody vegetation on the slopes. The entire scope of work is being divided up into phases so that it's manageable cost-wise for the condo association, but also not to destabilize the berm with all the work all at once. So the plan has a table of the phases, but there is a phase that the engineer calls Phase 0, which is what they want to do immediately, and that's to cut all the trees, leave the stumps, paint the stumps to prohibit sprouting, and remove all of the shrub layer, roots and all. There are 2 drainage outlets on the downstream side of the berm that will receive new riprap aprons. The work is within the BVW, riverfront, and buffer zone. I had requested resource area impacts because that wasn't included in the NOI. The engineer responded that they would eliminate work from the BVW to not have to calculate that. But work in the riverfront can't be avoided, so I think we still need a calc for that. This Phase 0 is an attempt to bring the dam up to a fair rating and buy some time. The engineer was unable to give me an exact timetable for the next phases to be undertaken. We walked the site, wetland delineation is acceptable. DEP issued a DEP file number with no technical comments. Let's see, I have CC'd the town engineer on the project so that he's aware. So this first phase, I think even with the shrub removal, we're gonna need some sort of interim erosion control program, because we don't know how long the next phase would be, which is tearing out tree roots, backfilling those holes, and then
That's
smoothing
phase
the slope
one,
and,
That's Phase 1.
yeah, and, right,
You gotta get to Phase
So-
0 first.
right. So, but between
Part of
zero.
Phase 1 is removal of roots of the shrub layer, so there is going to be some earth disturbance.
Yes,
Which is your
right.
point.
We don't
Right.
know
In
if-
Phase 0.
we don't know if we're
Exactly,
gonna get Phase
right.
1 in our lifetime.
So who knows? Who knows when Phase 1 will come, but Phase 0 is the immediate to get it to a fair rating.
We need a peer review on this.
Absolutely.
We
All right.
absolutely need a peer review. I don't
Okay.
even want to go any further.
All right.
Yeah,
This is.
I've been banging this drum for 15 years
Yeah.
with everything proposed going across the roadway and the bridge, and I kept saying, it's a dam, it's a dam, it's a dam. Amy, you weren't here. With a lot of people, not the commissioners, but a lot of applicants, a lot of others saying it's not. And knowing darn well what it was in its vulnerability, I'm glad to hear the report coming out. It's high time that someone finally recognized it for what it is, and, baby steps. Phase 0 is all we're gonna consider under peer review.
Okay.
Subsequent phases,
Okay.
subsequent applications.
I enjoy the comment, the work within the BVW riverfront. Amy requested area impact calc, and the engineer responded that they would eliminate that work. I'm sorry, but can you eliminate that work?
I don't know.
Right, exactly,
I don't know.
exactly.
No.
That's exactly my point,
I-
right? We need somebody that knows this stuff.
And not to put any fear of panic in anybody's mind in town, I mean, this dam is no worse than 1,000 other dams across Massachusetts.
Yeah, but this is the one we're dealing with.
This is the one that we're
This is the
dealing
one
with.
we're
And
dealing
we
with,
had,
so I don't- I
and we've
don't
had other
care about-
applicants come before us,
I don't care about the
looking to
rest of the
treat it as a roadway and wanting to dig it up.
No, this is the time right now. We get a third-party peer,
Absolutely.
and we get somebody to call the balls and strikes for us.
Yeah.
All right?
I talked to Amy and Taylor at length when she first brought this up. They were gonna clear cut up top. Just cut everything down. I says, what's 40, 50 feet downstream from there, right there, that part of it's riverfront. No explanation, oh, we're not gonna do that now. Well, you were gonna do it before.
Like I said,
Well, and the second thing I said to her and Taylor, what did I say? Third-party review, right?
Right.
Because none of us know anything about a dam.
this is.
No, I do, and I think, I completely agree, because I do. I
Yeah.
know that my limitations, this needs to be reviewed by someone competent. I know this engineering firm, I know them to be good engineers, what I don't know is the capabilities for dealing with, structural dams, particularly in bad condition.
No, it's gotta go out, it's gotta go out.
Yeah,
Right, pass it.
and when we do,
I'll move that we send it up for third-party review.
yeah, and then when they do, I wanna give the direction to them, the phases. I mean, we gotta have some type of timetable.
Yeah.
We're not doing this over
Yeah.
50 years, are we?
No, I don't know.
But see, that's something our third-party peer review expert
Well, I
can
know,
tell
that
us.
we have to
We
tell.
get somebody that understands this stuff.
So again, I
Yeah.
don't know Horsley and Witten's full capabilities or their portfolio
I don't
of
know.
work.
Stay
I
tuned, we're
don't,
not
but,
done.
but I know that I dealt with,
Let's create.
in my prior employment, I dealt with dams, with the Office of Dam Safety, and the 5-year inspection reports and the maintenance reports yet. I know what it takes, and I know there are very few engineering firms in New England who have the capability of doing this. So it limits our peer reviewers.
Well, let's create a scope of work and put out an RFP and get it done.
Yeah.
The scope of work tells everybody what they're gonna be doing.
All right, so when do we wanna continue this till?
Well, I know the project engineer is here this evening. I don't know if you,
It's,
So we're just dealing with phase 0 right now, right?
Just cutting of trees, but
no, we're gonna have the reviewer for the whole project, Jack. We want.
No, I think that since we don't know when the next phase is going to occur, and since we don't know exactly what it is they're going to be proposing,
Yeah.
I think that each phase is a separate application.
Okay,
Yeah, that makes sense.
agreed.
Yeah, phase 0, if that's what's on the table now, I mean, that's something that I think we still require, some less strenuous peer review, but some nonetheless.
I mean, this table at the bottom does show the phases. And Lamute, are you with us? That, obviously it's the phase 0, who knows when they'll get to the next phase. If there's time left on the order, they might want to tackle phase 1, I don't know.
But
But
it's
that,
money-
it's so,
But it's money driven too,
it is very much money
Okay.
driven, absolutely, so.
so that's why we have to get a timetable from the applicant and the outside
We still
third
need to-
peer review.
We need to start the search for
Yeah,
a
I
competent
agree.
expert in dams.
'Cause I know,
Yeah,
I know absolutely nothing.
It
So-
sounds like a lot of the work is earthwork, meaning controlling vegetation and then revegetating with better
Well,
species.
the bridge has to be rebuilt at some point too, correct? Didn't they come for this? Ask us?
Again, I don't know what, unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to even scratch the surface on this, other than sitting at the table here tonight, and, so I do ask that
Hello?
Hi, Lamute?
Hello? Hi.
Hi.
Hi. Jesus, I'm sorry about that. I'm just trying to get my mic to work.
That's okay.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lumhut Tiv. I'm a project engineer at Ghost Midpress and Ringwall. And I thank Amy for the introduction for the project at Osgood Pond Dam. So a lot of information that I want to address the board with, and just to kind of give you a background. As Amy mentioned before, this project came about because ODS issued a phase 1 report saying that this is a significant dam in a poor condition. And following that phase 1 report, we were given, or the client was given a certificate of non-compliant to begin to kind of start addressing the overgrown vegetation as well as other deficiencies on the dam. So following ODS instruction, I reached out to the Office of Dam Safety and I spoke with the permitting engineer there. Well, during a conversation, Dave Olet, the permitting engineer, suggested that, you know, we begin by starting this, what I'm calling phase 0, what we're proposing on the plan right here, to kind of start the framework so that we can begin getting the dam into a better or a more fair condition. So the work that we're proposing and we're showing here, we provided that to Dave Olet as an informal review. He was okay with the work that's being proposed. And I want to be clear, the work that we're proposing here, in order, you know, the steps that we're going to be taking is to acquire an order of conditions from the local conservation. And then we're going to go back to the ODS to file what's known as a Chapter 253 Part A permit to allow for reviewing the work that we're proposing here. So all we're doing is following the steps as well as the guideline from ODS to begin, at the very least, cutting down these trees and addressing some of the overgrown, the debris that are currently on site. So the very first, you know, the very first comment I heard regarding the, I guess, the third-party review just seems odd to me because we've gone to ODS for their advice and recommendation on what to do. They provided us with the recommendation on what to do. We're going to have to go back to them again to file a Chapter 253 Part A permit to get permission to do the work that we're proposing to do. They're going to have the final say. They know what's best for the, you know, for the dam. So it just seems odd to me that we would need a third-party review to do something that we're going to need, you know, permission from the ODS. The second item that I want to address from Amy was during the sidewalk, she had mentioned that she would like to see the area of disturbance, a wetland disturbance provided, which we can certainly do. But what I want to make clear is that the area that we're providing is the area that we're disturbing, aka cleaning up in, you know, the overgrown, the debris, all the trash, all the cans that are down there. We're cleaning it up. We're not altering the wetland. We're doing maintenance work. And we can certainly provide that area, but we can't provide that area in terms of wetland alteration. There's a big distinction between area of disturbance and area of alteration. In accordance to the Wetland Protection Act, if we are doing any sort of wetland alteration, we would have to provide wetland replication at a minimum of 1-to-1 basis. So we can certainly provide the area of disturbance, but it is not areas of alteration. That's the second item that I want to address. And thirdly, again, this what we're calling phase 0 to do the cleanup as well as the cutting of trees. It is setting up the framework. And I understand that, you know, it might be, you know, a little bit greedy of us to say that phase 1, 2, and 3 following that can be allowed under the same NOI application. I understand. We can certainly do a new filing every time there's a new phase is going in. And, you know, we're willing to work it out with that.
Thanks.
Is there anything else that I haven't addressed? And I do apologize that, I was just trying to get my mic to work. I wasn't sure it was something that had to be allowed.
Hi, Lou, this is Joe Lynch. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Good. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your last name.
Tiff, T-I-V.
Tiabi?
TIV.
TIB, I'm sorry. So I'm going to try to give my perspective on your response to those 3 or 4 different levels of comments. First and foremost, with regards to third-party review, we routinely do it on far, far less significant projects, regardless of who is overseeing it. We have worked with DEP and various agencies, not just wetlands, but other agencies within DEP's realm who've given bad guidance from an environmental perspective with regards to wetlands. We have agencies that work together like DEP Wetlands Group versus DEP Solid Waste versus DEP Water and Wastewater, who simply don't see eye to eye in their own agency. So I apologize for having little faith in Office of Dam Safety ushering through something perfectly within their realm from a dam safety perspective, but not necessarily doing it in an environmentally conscious way from a wetlands perspective. So, yeah, I'm digging my heels in. Third-party review is important, but I do ask that in the context that, I have had experience working with GPR, and I know them to be a very good firm, and it served me well on far, far, far less significant projects than this. So I don't know what GPR's capabilities or credentials or experience is working on a project as vulnerable as this, and particularly in something that's been deemed to be in poor condition in a high-hazard dam. So I until you convince me otherwise, I'm going to demand the third-party review that we select that is going to be reviewing what's being proposed at each of the phases from a dam vulnerability perspective as well as the wetland perspective. So that's one. 2 is with regards to actually what's being proposed in phase 0. Nobody's talking about cleaning up litter and beer cans and whatnot as being an invasive activity requiring a permit, but certainly removal of trees and vegetation and shrubs and their roots is, and that does in fact, rise to the level that we're talking about. We're still only talking within phase 0. And I think with regards to the other 2 points that you raised, I don't necessarily disagree. And that's with regards to future phases requiring future permits. I think I said that right out of the gate. But I think knowing how one phase leaves off and stabilizes before the next phase embarks is something that's critical. And recognizing that Office of Dam Safety, with my experience with working with them, is going to require ongoing maintenance from each of these phases. So you do something in phase 0, I think they're going to expect on an annual basis a revisitation and picking up suckers and saplings and other woody vegetation and keeping it out of the flow net of that gravel or that earthen berm. So I think, understanding that it's going to be very, very important. And we typically require that all permits be obtained before an NOI is filed. I think in this instance, this is one of those hybrids where I think we actually have to walk in lockstep with what you're doing with dam safety on their own and with us. And I think it's unreasonable for us to expect you to have full approval from Office of Dam Safety first, only for us to take exception to it. So I think, in my mind, I'm willing to waive the receive all permits requirement under an NOI. So that's all I have to offer at this point.
So I do want to point out that the maintenance of dams, or working on maintenance on a dam in general, is typically done through what's known as a limited project under the Mass DEP licensing for NRI filing. I understand that it is quite a concern to be removing the smaller shrubs as well as doing all these cleanup and tree cutting within the wetland. If that is something that, we would need a third party review for, I can certainly agree to that. But the one scenario that I do like to try to avoid is, and I apologize for, trying to speak frankly about this is, I don't want to have a conversation going back with ODS just to say, hey, Dave, thanks very much for the review and recommendation. I appreciate and value your professional experience, but here's what we're going to do instead. That's what I'm afraid of. I don't know what kind of scope of work that could be recommended by a third-party reviewer, and and I guess most importantly, reviewing the scope of work itself. I don't know what it is they would be looking for. So that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you. Al?
If you know, when was the last time any maintenance was completed on this dam?
Never, as far as I know.
That's the answer I expected. For that reason alone, I'm going to stand fast on a third-party peer review to cover this operation. We need to have confidence in the project, and I would have confidence in an expert chosen by this commission to review and work with you on this. That's my feel.
Okay. Thank you. If that is how the boards feel, it is what it is, if that's what we have to do. But I do ask that, once we have a third-party reviewer kind of figure it out, I would like to go over the scope of work as well as, just kind of keep in touch with Amy so we can kind of be there for the whole process.
You apparently don't know how we do it here, so let me just give you great confidence and understanding that you'll be included in all correspondence and all conversations. You won't be excluded, but we will have an expert.
Thank you very much.
We will have an expert that represents the concerns of this commission and answers to this commission. No disrespect, but you answer to your client. We answer to the town, so we want an expert that represents our views. And I assure you, it'll be fair and impartial.
Thank you.
Jack?
Nothing more to add.
All right, so,
Continue.
you want to get an hour, we gotta,
We just,
request continue.
this needs to be continued so we can put together an RFP.
so we're gonna continue, what should we continue, a month or 2 weeks?
Well, I think we should come back to the next meeting and just,
Let's keep it on the agenda for 2
have a status
weeks and
update. I
get
put
an
it on
update.
the agenda.
All right, so we're gonna continue to the next meeting, which is April 28th.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Thank you.
I'll try to
Thank you. Have a good night.
start drafting up the scope. Okay, thank you, Lemu.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
You too.
Next one is enforcement order 50 Duncan Drive.
All right, so, March 30th, Conservation Department staff observed the following: construction of a concrete walkway within the 50-foot no disturb zone, rebuilding of 2 decks within the 50-foot no build zone, redistribution of excess soil within the 25 and 50 in the yard, and brush dumping in the 25. Work was ordered to cease. The homeowner and the contractor was responsive immediately. Erosion controls were installed on the site with the assistance of our field inspector, who actually physically helped them place it. The homeowner is working with Bill Manuel to delineate the wetlands. Due to scheduling constraints, he wasn't able to do it before this meeting. As of April 12th, the homeowner has removed most of the brush from the area on the property outside the 25 and 50. So we are, as of April 12th, the homeowner has removed most of the brush from the area on the property outside the 25 and 50. So we are, as of April 12th, the homeowner has removed most of the brush from the area on the property outside the 25 and 50. So we are, as of April 12th, the homeowner has removed most of the brush from the area on the property outside the 25 and 50. So we are The homeowner's been cooperative from the get-go. We have erosion controls in place.
Amy, sorry
Yes.
to interrupt.
Go ahead, go
I
ahead.
think you said the walkway was in the 50, it's the 25.
Yeah, so the walkway on the side, so you'll see it right here on this walkway, is most likely in the 25. But we need to get the wetland delineated to confirm.
How old is the house?
I don't know, I'll check though.
Dunkin' Drive's what, 30 years?
Yeah, Dunkin' Drive is, I mean, 'cause I'm just looking how, if the walkway's in the 25, then the house is.
Yeah.
But that walkway's new, that's not a that's
No,
not a
I,
replacement.
but look at
Meaning the
what I'm
house
getting at
is,
the walkway,
House
the house isn't within is within the 50 for sure.
the house is definitely inside,
Yeah.
inside the 50 if that walkway's in the 25.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm just wondering, how did we miss that one?
I'll look, I'll look.
Yeah,
The house,
yeah. The
I
house.
bet it's old.
it's old.
I bet it's
I go
it's
Dunkin'
all a
Drive
30.
and Look at this,
That's why I'm asking.
there's some houses that are right on the water.
No, but
So,
that's why I'm asking, how old is the house?
I don't know, I'll look it up.
Okay,
I'll
thank,
look it up.
thank you,
So-
thank you.
We are gonna recommend that you issue an formal enforcement order that requires continued cease and desist, getting the wetland delineated, and then we want to mark it, but then we want to figure out what's in the 25, what's in the 50, and then figure out from there what type of application, after-the-fact application, or what other enforcement action we need to take. If it means rip up that concrete walkway because it's in the 25, we don't know, but we got to get that determined first.
How far along is construction?
So the walkway is,
The walkway's in.
it's
Walkway's in,
pretty
right.
much complete.
But we have decks.
The decks are disassembled at this point.
They're
Still
not,
work-
they're
still
not
work to be
installed,
done.
the sonotubes and,
No, there hasn't
It was
been,
like a demo.
yeah, there
Demo
hasn't been any
phase and-
ground disturbance
okay,
back there.
okay.
So we need a lot more information.
Yeah, we do.
Watch out.
Okay, so
Do you have
we,
historic photos, satellite photos?
Yeah,
over
absolutely.
time-lapse photos? That would be real helpful.
Yep. Okay,
I love those.
okay. All right.
So cease and desist,
Cease and desist, get the wetland delineated.
delineated.
And then from there, we would figure out what is in violation that would never be permitted, and then what could be permitted, right?
Well,
I
the.
think it was a quick leap into a bigger future phase. I think we need to know what's there first.
Yeah,
So Bill Manuel completing
Okay.
his work.
And what was there when?
And,
what was
and
there
I
when?
think submitting that information to us of an existing condition plan with wetlands on it in a reasonable deadline to
Yes.
produce that is what we need to know about.
That's
And then
exactly
from that, we would
Okay.
probably amend the order,
That's
the
right
enforcement
where I
order
was
to require an NOI or whatever be done in the next timeframe. We don't know
Okay.
that yet.
all right.
Bill Manuel wasn't available due to scheduling conflict. It was an indication, is it 2 weeks, is it a month, is it
Yeah,
a year?
okay.
Do we know?
Oh, what did he
It's,
say?
it's in, the date is the 23rd,
Oh,
they're planning on doing
he'll get
delineation.
out there on the 23rd. He just wasn't able to do it by this meeting, so.
That's fine, that's fine.
So we continue this for a month. So if we put it for the second meeting in May, that's reasonable?
I think that's.
To get an existing conditions plan,
That's delineated.
you think we can do it?
Well, you know.
Well, he's gonna be out there doing the delineation on the 23rd.
We should-
We're meeting on the 28th, so give him another 2 weeks beyond
And
that.
design.
We should
I think
put
it's
it
reasonable.
on for the second meeting, and it's easy enough just to bump it.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
as
So
long
that-
as they're making progress.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
just get
sounds good.
something, we need to know something.
Yep.
You should be able to get the aerial photos
Aerial.
by then, and we can see, look at time-lapse photography.
Yeah.
That's helpful,
Okay.
to me anyway, it is.
All that.
Does this house have an existing file with us? This address?
I don't think, I don't remember seeing.
It must,
Yeah.
right?
Uh,
30,
there's
even
gotta
30 years
be-
ago,
There has to be a file in this house,
at least in the database somewhere.
has to be.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Even if it's 24250, it's gotta be in there.
50, could be.
And I would say save it some time on their part. Removal of that walk is gonna happen.
Well, let's get the setbacks.
Yeah, but damage is done, let's leave it there until we know what the heck we got, because
Well,
it
yeah,
may
let's
be
get
a
the
heck of a lot
setback-
more than removing the walk, we don't know yet.
Oh, there is.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
Let's do it all at once.
Right, Taylor? He was out there.
Yeah.
I was out there.
Okay, what else? Can we continue it
Okay,
now?
continue till, the next,
Good.
We need to approve the EO, right?
Yeah. Move to, issue a formal enforcement order with the directives that we discussed.
So moved.
Second.
all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Oh.
So I know the homeowner might be on the call with us, but, you know, the commission really wants you to continue with, delineation, and we do need a plan, so that's typical of what the commission requires, so,
So this is all gonna go on the enforcement order, right?
yes.
So get them,
Yeah.
just let
Yeah.
them, it's all right there.
You may need to
And-
recommend some engineering.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thank them
We'll
for
give
their,
you a
yeah,
list of-
we thank them for their swift attention already.
Yeah, no,
so,
we do, we
Yeah,
appreciate
We
it.
always thank people for their cooperation.
Yes, thank you very much. So we'll be in touch.
Okay,
Okay.
well done.
Okay, next one, next one is 1806 Salem Street.
All right. So the commission will recall issuing an enforcement order, I think it was back in June of 2020. This came about from the expansion of a driveway next to a stream. The initial enforcement order that staff issued required them to cease, clean up the area, get erosion controls in. And the homeowner said that he might want to expand. The existing driveway, which is 12 by 46 at the front of the house, was unpermitted. And so the commission felt that really needed to have an after-the-fact approval, and if the applicant wanted to do any further work, then that would need to be reviewed under NOI. So you required the submittal of an NOI. That hasn't happened. In the meantime, a couple of months ago, or a month ago, the neighbor across the street called building department saying they were storing trailers, like landscape trailers or, you know, work trailers out at the front, which is zoning violation. So that's how it came back to me. In consultation with the chairman, he recommended a follow-up letter to ask the homeowner, Mr. Diamond, to attend the meeting and discuss a new deadline for the NOI, and perhaps consider fines if the new deadline isn't met this time around.
So I remember all of that. How, except for the specific date, what was the deadline for him to file the NOI that we told him? If it was in June, it wasn't it sometime in, we gave him like till August or early September? I think we were pretty flexible on that.
September, yeah. I know, July, the end of July.
To submit it by
2020.
July?
Yeah.
So I guess I want to be clear that he is in violation to the enforcement order that issued. Fines will toll back to that date in July, $25 a day. I don't want to scare him by doing the math, but that's what he's facing. So if we give him a deadline to file the NOI, or to simply restore it to what it was, that needs to be done by June 1st, and that's my motion. If not, the fine's going to go back to the deadline of July.
Well.
He's not here, right?
Scott, are you on the call? Mr. Diamond, are you on the call with us?
No. Yes, where's that voice coming from?
Yeah, I know, there is some.
I probably know, but I'm not gonna say.
Mr. Diamond, are you on the call with us?
If you are and you're muted,
Might be on
unmute
mute.
your phone.
Those
Yeah,
two lines are
You
on
might be
mute.
muted. If your
*6,
phone number ends in 93, you'll have to *6 to
*6.
unmute.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, so the commission, is considering noncompliance with the very first enforcement order requiring a NOI filing by July of 2020. They want to establish a new deadline, and if that isn't met, they would assess a $25 a day fine from the July deadline.
Deadline, yes.
So that's where we're at.
And it's an either or. File an NOI by that first meeting in June, or to restore the disturbed area to the original area to the original state that it was, by the same deadline. If you don't intend to expand the driveway or do whatever it is you were contemplating that somehow was taken 9 months to not get an answer on, then we're gonna motivate you with, pick one, restore it, or apply for a permit. And failing to do so will be fines totaling back to the date of the original deadline back in July.
Okay, yep, I understand. My plan was to restore it. I need guidance, what I can do to restore it back to its original. The other one is, I think we have an issue with the existing driveway.
You mean on
That Amy had brought.
the left side of the house? Is that what you mean?
The driveway on the in-law side, the existing dirt drive that's been there.
Right. That's the unpermitted driveway. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, I don't recall back last summer, but I thought that there was some capability of looking at historic photographs that would help us determine when that did exist or when it didn't exist.
Somewhere between 2012 and 2014 that it got some wrap. It's like wrap.
Yep.
So this is the 2014, and this is the 2012. So you can see that people are you can see the tire marks. But then now we see in 2014, we see its actual.
Okay, that,
Yeah,
so that nails it down.
right. So honestly,
Between those 2 days, 2012 and 2014, anything that was done out there required a permit and wasn't. Now, I understand Mr. Diamond was not the owner back then, from what I remember. So how we treat that is one thing, but I think that the intent is that was previously lawn area. It can be restored back to lawn area. That's the guidance he needs.
Yeah.
No driveway of any sort. From my perspective. I don't know, maybe you guys want more restored, but.
If he wants to restore, those are the steps.
Yeah, the guidance
I
he
agree.
needs is guidance from us and put it back to lawn. That's what was there
But
between
remove
12
the
and.
foreign material and then restore it back to lawn.
so did you get?
First meeting in June, Amy will give you what that date is, but that's when we need you to make the choice and take a particular step in that direction.
Okay. Okay, all right, I understand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so now.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. So I would recommend the commission issue a amended enforcement order with these
So moved.
directives.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Next order of business is signal authorization.
So moved? I was hoping we were gonna have to circulate papers.
Yeah, there's a lot of permits to sign.
Thank you.
I know.
All right, who was second? Did someone second that one?
Al seconded.
Al, all in favor?
Mayday was too slow.
Then after we adjourn, I have just a couple quick things to run by you. All right, so we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous.